Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary-Kate Wielden.
I can't believe it! And he takes the opportunity with both hands. What a moment! Pandemonium in the away end.
Well, good evening and welcome back to European football here on BBC Radio Shropshire. Can the New Saints continue their European campaign? Well, it's all level after the first leg against the Luxembourg champion Swift Hesper, and manager Craig Harrison says his side are prepared for whatever the opposition throw at them.
You know, everyone's got a plan till they get punched on the nose. You've got the opposition there. I think if people forget that got an opposition to play against who they've got a plan as well, got 11 players and a coach, an experienced coach that's going to try and push their plan on us.
Kick-off is just under an hour away, and Nick Southall has your team news.
Yeah, two changes made here, Mary-Kate, for the New Saints following that 1-1 draw at Park Hall in Oswestry last week. And the big news is that Dec McManus is fit enough to start. The leading goal scorer in the Cymru Premier last season for TNS has been struggling with an injury for a number of weeks, despite coming on as a substitute last week against Swift Hesper. He does start this afternoon, which is brilliant news. Craig Harrison is delighted that McManus starts. The other change is Danny Redmond comes in. He returns from a hamstring injury. Out go Jordan Williams and Ben Clark. Just for two changes. Remember, tonight it has to be decided. It could be extra time or it could be penalties. Lots to play for.
Can TNS progress to the third qualifying round? Well, we've got full match commentary coming up very shortly on BBC Radio Shropshire.
Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary-Kate Wielden.
Well, welcome. Good evening. We've got European football here again on BBC Radio Shropshire as the New Saints take on Swift Hesper in the second qualifying round of the UEFA Conference League. It's the second leg tonight and they're all square after the first leg. It's 1-1 after the first game in Oswestry last week. They left it late though to equalise through Rory Holden, and we had plenty of drama last week with a save from TNS goalkeeper Connor Roberts as well. We're your commentary team tonight and Nick Southall and Scott Harris. I think they've had a little bit of a tumultuous evening, but are you both all right? You're both there safe and sound now?
Hello, Mary-Kate. Yeah, welcome to Stade de Luxembourg. It is very difficult to try and get in. They do call the actual capital, Luxembourg, is Luxembourg City, which is where we are. And they do call the capital the Fortress City because of its medieval ruins. And, Stade de Luxembourg is pretty much similar because trying to find a way in was like trying to do an escape room. It was very difficult, but we managed it in the end.
Well, I'm glad you're both there now. You had a nice day. It's been raining, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was torrential rain overnight. We were lucky that we got some sunshine this morning, then it rained again. But the sun is out once more, lovely blue skies above us, so it's going to be a gorgeous evening here in the heart of Luxembourg. And what a big game this is going to be, because we've been finding out during the day, and you'll hear that in the build-up to this coverage, all about Swift Hesper, about what football's like in Luxembourg as well. And we know that they are a team pretty much like Marmite here in Luxembourg, in the fact that lots of people do like them and the other half don't, because they feel that their very rich benefactor Flavio Becker has pretty much bought the Luxembourg title, considering the amount of money he pumped into a new squad to win the championship title. Now he's entitled to do that, but it's meant it's a bit of an uneven playing field here in Luxembourg domestically, but they have big ambitions to get to the group stages, just like the New Saints have. But the budgets will be considerably different, and Swift Hesper have spent a lot of money. So we've been finding out, we've been heading around the city, speaking to lots of people about what we can expect tonight. And as I say, you know, it's got to be finished tonight, and it could be penalties later on. It's been that tight a game that it wouldn't surprise us.
Yeah, it was really, really tight last week in Oswestry. You know, that there was a couple of chances. Josh Daniels putting it over from all of 5 yards. We've had the penalty save, loads and loads of drama last week. I mean, for the fan, I mean, maybe not if you're a TNS fan, but the drama will be very exciting. And like you say, it could go all the way tonight.
Yeah, and there is so much on the line here as well. because the losers will go out of Europe, so they'll have to wait another year to qualify. But the winners will then be just 2 ties away from the group stages, and that's where the real rewards are. You know, that's where Aston Villa could be playing, Fiorentina from Italy, Eintracht Frankfurt from the Bundesliga in Germany, and Lille from French Ligue 1. So, you know, there are so many big teams that the New Saints could be paired with if they get through to the group stages. They might have a favourable time the next round as well, because we're waiting to see who wins that other tie. But it looks like it could be Struga from North Macedonia, and I would say they're probably not as good as Swift Hesper. So they have a really good chance to progress further and get very close to those group stages if they can win here tonight.
Well, just give us a quick recap of tonight's team news.
Well, you mentioned Connor Roberts, and it was a brilliant penalty save to deny the German striker Stolz parkour last week towards the end of that game. Connor Roberts was key against BK Häcken as well, and really kept the New Saints in that tie for a long time. So he's in goal. Then a 4-man defence of Danny Davis at right back. Chris Marriott, the left back, is going to be the captain, the stalwart of his side. The 2 centre-halves are Josh Pask and Ryan Astles. Then in midfield, Leo Smith. Danny Redmond comes back in for Ben Clark. And Rory Holden, who scored the equaliser last week, he also starts his second game for the club. And then 3 up front, Josh Daniels, the former Shrewsbury man. It looks like Denk McManus will be down the centre, and Ryan Brobble to his left. So it's going to be a fascinating encounter, this. 2 attacking teams, and it wouldn't surprise us if we see some more goals.
Well, quite rightly, a lot of the talk has been about Declan McManus. Is he fit? He's had this reoccurring injury, but the big news is tonight that he starts tonight, and he's going to be so important tonight for TNS, isn't he?
Well, I'll let you into a secret. We did know last night that Denk McManus was fit, but we were told to keep it under wraps, as sometimes football managers do. They were so desperate that this didn't get leaked out to Swift Hesper. That's because Denk McManus is their star player, the leading goal scorer in the Cymru Premier last season, and when he's on the pitch, things happen. We saw him score a goal in Sweden a few weeks ago, and he leads that line so well. He is still carrying a slight injury, so whether he lasts the full 90 minutes remains to be seen. But we just hope that he can have some kind of impact in this game against Swift Hesper and cause their defence some problems.
Well, they could have also been a man down for this leg, because Declan McManus, like you say, coming on in the first leg. They could have had a player sent off for Swift Hesper. Obviously that didn't happen, it was a yellow card, but it just shows how influential he is, even if he doesn't score.
It is, and you know, he's so good with his back to goal in controlling the ball. He's a real outlet up front, so I think that's probably what they missed a bit with Ryan Brobble playing down the centre. I think Brobble is better from deeper positions, making runs into the box, down those channels, whereas Denk McManus, you know where he's going to be. He doesn't venture too far, he plays in the right areas, and he can hold the ball up to bring the likes of Brobble and Daniels into the game as well. So it's not only the goals that he can score, but it's also how he brings his teammates into the game as well. So that's his real strength.
Who have we got to look out for on the Swift Hesper side?
Well, look, they are a very good team, Swift Hesper, and they could name 6 players in those forward 2 roles because they have such strength in depth, and that's the amount of money that their owner has spent on this team. He's pretty much gone into the best of the clubs in Luxembourg and taken all their best players and brought them here to Swift Hesper, and then gone around the likes of the French clubs, the German and Belgium clubs, the neighbouring countries in those lower leagues to bring in those better players as well. And tonight it looks like Sinai is going to start up front with Louis as well. They have Stolz, who was playing in a forward role last week, who's actually going to play right wing. So I think this is a very attacking lineup named by Swift Hesper, and the New Saints know that they don't want to get caught caught cold as they did in Gothenburg against BK Häcken when they conceded 2 goals in the Champions League qualifier inside the first 12 minutes. So they know they've got to keep it tight in those opening 10-15 minutes, get themselves into the game and try and be on the front foot after that.
That's Nick Southall, part of your commentary team tonight, alongside Scott Harris. They're bringing you full commentary tonight of Swift Hesper versus TNS in the second qualifying round of the UEFA Conference League. One thing that TNS have always wanted to do, that's always been impressed every time that I've met up with Mike Harris, their owner, who we'll hear from later on today. He's always said they want to reach the group stages of a European competition. Ever since the UEFA Conference League started in 2021, it's given sides like TNS another opportunity to reach those group stages. And their manager Craig Harrison was in a reflective mood when he spoke to Nick Southall about his previous European campaigns.
It's a beautiful stadium. I think led to believe it's less than 2 years old. It's obviously the national stadium as well, and it's a really nice stadium. Pitch is fantastic, and if you don't look forward to a game like this on this stage, then there's something wrong with you.
Regarding your own personal achievements, how many games have you had in Europe now?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I couldn't tell you off the. I think there was a article recently with the Daily Mirror, and I think I just surpassed. I'm not too sure who it was, but a second Englishman to Bobby Robson to manage in the Champions League, albeit qualifying rounds, etc. But I think this will be my 18th. So that's obviously there's a lot there. There's a lot of good experiences, a lot of disappointing experiences, and we're just hoping that we can make this one a really positive experience.
How do you draw on that experience then? What have you learned from those?
I think you learn that you've got to keep calm. You've got to think things through. You haven't got to be impulsive. I think you've got to make sure that you've already had a step forward, if you like, with a plan A, B and C in plan for most case scenarios, because obviously it's okay, on the night there's your heart's pumping, the adrenaline's pumping, everyone's well up for the game, and it's just it can be a bit of a blur sometimes, so I think the important thing is that you prepare yourself right from a personal point of view, from me and from the player's point of view as well, because I think I've used the terminology before, it's I think it's the boxing terminology, isn't it? Everyone's got a plan till they get punched on the nose. You've got the opposition there, you think if people forget that you've got an opposition to play against who they've got a plan as well, and they've got 11 players and a coach, an experienced coach that's going to try and push their plan on us. So I think calmness is probably something that I'm not particularly goes in hand with myself. I'm quite a I think a volatile person on the sideline once the game starts regarding football, but I think it's hopefully a bit of calmness will help everybody.
That's the new Saints manager, Craig Harrison. Well, Scott Harris, part of your commentary team tonight. We saw that volatile side come out a little bit from Craig Harrison last week when they didn't get a red card for Swift Hesper.
Yeah, definitely. I think that particular moment went unpunished. We didn't have the best view, admittedly, but I think questions were to be asked about that particular moment of the game, but from the neutral perspective, it was quite an entertaining first leg. The fact that it finished 1 apiece, I think we were all a little bit stunned by that. The post was hit a few times, the saved penalty, so it was a first leg that had everything in terms of drama, and there's plenty of scope for that this evening, and not everyone's in the stadium yet. We've still got about 40 minutes to go until kick-off. One thing we have to mention, of course, is that this isn't Swift's home ground. This is the National Stadium of Luxembourg. They played one game here on the European adventures of 2023 so far, but you have to feel that for them it's a different atmosphere. It's a bigger venue than what they're used to at home, even if they are on home soil.
I mean, the music's blaring, but are we expecting a big crowd tonight?
Well, yeah, we've spoken to various people all day, and some people have said, there'll be about 3,000, some people have said 6, so we're probably going to go halfway between that and say about 4,500. The stadium itself, as we were chatting to Claire Ashford before this programme, it's a fantastic arena. It's constructed out of diamonds, in terms of diamond shapes, and there's floodlights all the way around the perimeter of the stadium. It is certainly a stadium to look at, so certainly if you're going to use a search engine, put it in, because it is worth seeing. The seats in particular of a very sort of speckled design based on the Luxembourg flag, the tricolour of red, white and that sky blue, very similar to another flag but also very different, and the seating is very impressive, and it goes all the way around the perimeter, and it's a nice venue. But one thing I did mention earlier was there's no advertising boards around the perimeter of the pitch, so that's a little bit odd. I was saying to Nick Southwell earlier, will they actually put any out? But they haven't, so yeah, that's a bit strange.
This is a very niche thing, but one thing that I notice when you go to these big games is a lot of clubs, they have those electric like advertisements. I find that
Yes.
I think they make it really hard to watch the game. So you're probably lucky you've not got any, because when they're switching all colours, I find that really off-putting.
Yeah, you know what? I was watching the GAA on BBC Two on Sunday, and at Croke Park they had the what I can call traditional advertising. So none of these electronic boards you see at Premier League grounds and at the World Cup now. So yeah, as you say, it can be a little bit distracting. So it's a nice comfort, I think, visually on the eye, to not have any distractions from any sponsors whatsoever. They do have two giant monitors in the corner, big screens on either side of the ground. So obviously I believe VAR is in action tonight, but we don't have a monitor this time like we did in Sweden all those weeks ago.
Well, you've painted an absolutely wonderful picture, I must say. But just going back to the football, we heard there from manager Craig Harrison kind of reflecting on his, European adventures. If they want it to continue tonight, it's going to be a big game. They have to win, we know that. But if you wanted a manager with all the experience that he's got, they couldn't really ask for anyone with any more experience.
Yeah, he has lots of experience, and as you mentioned, he's been in this job for a long time in different spells, and he's had different groups of players, some players who have been with him almost through that whole journey. So yeah, he's got lots of experience, but he will know how important this match is for him and the New Saints, and Mike Harris, who obviously wants the club to progress as far as they can. They've had disappointment, haven't they, in the last few seasons. They lost against Viking last season, the result that ultimately cost Anthony Limerick his job. Backed onto that disappointment in the same competition in the Conference League the season before in the Czech Republic, losing on penalties. But one thing that I would say is that if you were to offer penalty kicks after extra time, if there should be any this evening, I think any New Saints fan would probably snap your hand off at that opportunity, because this is a strong, swift Hesper side. I've just been handed a few moments ago the team sheet for full confirmation of how they're going to be set up. They're still staying with a 4-4-2, but I do notice that they've made two changes. Jamie comes in at the back, in the centre-back position, the 34-year-old experienced Portuguese player, lots of experience in the third tier of Portuguese football. He also had a big move to Cluj in Romania, and has experience in the Europa League qualifiers back in 2014. So he is part of that back line to keep TNS out. And one other thing that I would mention is that Sinani is going to be up front tonight with the new man Alui, who comes in, and Sakras, who was a real handful last week. He is going to be on that left side, and there's no place for Paul Ayongo, who is on the bench.
They went into the first leg, and when I spoke to Craig Harrison before that, he said he'd only really seen 2 games of theirs. How much will he have learnt from that first leg actually being involved in the game?
Well, I think he's probably watched it a few times since last Tuesday. The Josh Daniels miss that we focused on post-match last Tuesday was mentioned in the press conference, which never normally happens when we speak to football managers. As you know, football managers tend to only look forward. Yes, they reflect and do their homework, but to the press they never really talk about what happened. Obviously, there is some continuation with this fixture being a second leg, but I think it was something that was mentioned. technique, that they will have been firing their shooting boots for this second leg, because it is such a big game, and TNS do not want this European journey to end tonight. They've got a great opportunity at 1-1. It's all square, and what an opportunity to progress further to the third qualifying round of the Europa Conference League. And I mentioned that disappointment last season and the season before. Now is the time for TNS to try and push forward and get just a step closer to those elusive group stages. And let's not forget that no side from Wales has made it to a group stage of a European competition, and the New Saints are neatly poised in this tie at one apiece to go and get the win and take another step closer to that aim and objective.
They absolutely do not want this European journey to end, and we'll find out in about 35 minutes if they can continue this journey in the Conference League when they take on Swift Hesper in the second qualifying round. It is the second leg tonight. They played the first leg last Tuesday in Oswestry and it came out all even there, one apiece in the first leg. We're just over half an hour away from kick-off now as TNS take on Swift Hesper, the Luxembourg champions, in the second qualifying round of the Conference League. That's a cup that West Ham won last year, and if they can win tonight, they're only 2 ties away from reaching the group stages of European football for the first time in their history. And I spoke to the chairman, Mike Harris, and he told me he hopes to see the side step up tonight in the second leg.
I know if the players do what they can do, we should come away with a result we want, but can't take anything away from our opposition. They're not their country's champions by luck. They're a good side, but I would say that we're very, very much, it's a game of football without too much difference between the two teams.
It did really well, Dan, to keep it down to 1 when it was going with Connor Roberts saving that penalty as well.
Yeah, I think that actually gave us the lift. I mean, a couple of seasons ago when we were 4-0 up with 10 minutes to go, goals that gave them the lift into being able to come back in the second leg. I think the save from Connor Roberts gave us the lift to say, hey, let's stop messing around. Let's play football like we can. And then hopefully the football gods are on our side.
Much of a chance to speak to Craig and many of the players since last week.
Yeah, I spoke to Craig on a number of occasions, and again, we won't make any excuses. We had got 1 or 2, possibly 3 key players either unavailable to play or carrying injuries. And as you saw, Declan had to come on, and I think once he came on, showed that we were able to cause them a lot more problems with his presence on the pitch. Craig will have organised ourselves in a way but we'll try to exert maximum pressure. The conditions out here is wet and rainy. It's very similar to what we get at home. So there's not a lot that we can do to say that, hey, the best team will win. And hopefully that's us.
That's the New Saints chairman, Mike Harris, speaking to him yesterday ahead of tonight's game. Well, Scott, is it wet and rainy or have you dropped lucky?
It's sunny here. Sorry, I missed that question, America. It's very loud.
I said, is it? Well, Mike Harris, when I was speaking to him yesterday, he was like, oh, it gets really wet and rainy there. But from what you've just been telling me, it's lovely.
Yes, I did think that you said that. Yeah, it's very sunny at the moment. There's some white fluffy clouds. We see the planes heading towards the city airport here in Luxembourg. They fly quite low actually over the stadium, heading towards the runway, which I think is to the east, the southeast of the city. Weather-wise, it's been very mixed. It's I said to Nick Southall, it felt very autumnal whilst we've been here. There's been flashes of sunshine, and obviously it's been fairly mild in that sunshine, as you'd expect for what is August weather now. But last night the heavens opened and it poured and poured and rained all night. It hammered down from our hotel, and we've had a few showers over the last 2 days as well. So it's been very mixed weather. But for the match, I'd probably say it's going to be about 15 degrees. There's some sunshine, perfect conditions for summer football.
Sounds like a lovely evening. Well, hopefully it will be a lovely evening and TNS can start the game strongly, because that's been a little bit of a weak point in the Champions League and in the first leg of this tie. They haven't started very strongly.
Yeah, we've said it the last few games really. Certainly this summer, they need to have concentration from the get-go. They can't be sloppy. you don't really want to allow the likes of Sakras or Sinani into the game. They really did rule the roost from those wing areas, and even though Sakras starts on the left in midfield tonight, Stoltz, who was up front, is over on the right side, so that'll be a different challenge for TNS to deal with Stoltz coming in from that right side of midfield. Sinani goes up top, so it's a new front two pairing with Sinani and Alui, who was the substitute last Tuesday, so two new front men. The other change was Jamie at the back, as we mentioned when we gave you the team news. Skendrovic at the back, he is fit. He went off, I think, after 20 minutes last week, so they're going to find lots of different challenges. We mentioned the right back as well, Ikofo. Well, he was very dangerous getting into forward areas all last Tuesday night, so he can provide some problems when he gets forward. I suppose from a New Saints point of view, if you have got attacking minded players, especially on that right side of the pitch, in the likes of Stoltz and Ikofo, well, on that right side, it means that is a good opportunity for the New Saints to get forward. So they've got to look at those avenues to try and dictate play if they can. Away from home, that's very difficult, but as we mentioned, the concentration from the start is something that TNS have got to be better at, and they've got to do that tonight, because if they concede early doors, then it becomes a bigger task than it perhaps already is. If it stays goalless at half time, well, that's going to give you every confidence, and at that point, especially if there's 15-20 minutes to go, there's no doubt that Swift will throw the kitchen sink at TNS. They've got the weaponry and armoury on the bench. TNS perhaps don't have as much, or it's probably unfair to say as much, but certainly in terms of strength of the bench, we know that Swift have spent heavily, certainly over the summer and in the last few years, and you would probably, if you was a betting man, you would put Swift as favourites if they are, all guns blazing in the final 10 minutes. It was a real barrage at Park Hall, wasn't it? Right up to stoppage time at the end of the first leg, and they hit the post twice, had that missed penalty. You'd probably as well say that the Portuguese manager, Carlos Frangueiro, would have been furious with some of those performances and the lack of finishing last week, so he will not want to repeat that lecture in the dressing room at half-time, but certainly at full-time.
Yeah, just looking at those European games that they've already had this season, against last week when they played Hesper in the first leg in Oswestry, they conceded within the first 20 minutes. BK Hacken in their home leg in the second leg conceded within the first 20 minutes. Away, they conceded 2 in the first 15 minutes. So not going behind early has got to be one of those key ones. How important was it as well that they did score that late goal through Rory Holden to make it level and give themselves a chance in this game?
Well, it was a strange goal, wasn't it? Because Rory Holden struck it well from range. It didn't look as if he was going to threaten the goalkeeper with the pace of it. There was a bit of top on it, but it took a slight deflection, and that just wrong-footed Dupire, the goalkeeper, and he just couldn't quite get enough on the ball to stop it from going in the back of the net. As I said, Craig Harrison will not care about that. They all count. It hit the net, and it was crucial that they got that goal. Obviously, the whole away goals rule doesn't exist anymore, but to be level coming away from here really does make it even Stevens, and it was crucial, because I think if they'd be starting this match a goal down or maybe 2 goals down, they would have had to change their strategy completely. But as it is a level game, so that gives the New Saints some appetite to probe and look to get forward, perhaps more so than if they were 1 down in the tie. It's on as even, and I think that's really positive for the New Saints to just reset, forget almost everything about the first leg and the problems that Swift provided and how close they went to extending their lead, because it's 1-1 and they've got every chance to push on and get themselves in front, because that would be something that they haven't experienced for a while in Europe, is leading in a tie, and it'll be interesting to see how they cope with that.
Well, we'll be back with your commentary team in under 25 minutes now. We're less than 25 minutes away from kickoff. Like Scott Harris, your commentator tonight, says, they're all level after the first leg. It's 1-1, and we will get a result tonight either way, so we may be going to extra time and penalties, so make sure you don't go anywhere. You can also keep up to date on our social media at BBC Shrop Sport. If you haven't, make sure you do go on Twitter and check out some of the videos that Nick and Scott have been doing while they're over there. They've been meeting up with some fantastic people and getting some fantastic stuff there, so make sure you do follow us on BBC Shrop Sport on Twitter to keep up to date with that. Now, like I said, just over 20 minutes away from kickoff until we've got live European football here on BBC Radio Shropshire. But let's spend a little time focusing on tonight's opposition. What do we know about them? Well, Nick Southall has been speaking to a journalist who covers the Luxembourg side.
My name is Simon LaRoche. I'm a journalist here for State Radio 100.7 and a general football junkie.
Simon, describe where we are.
Right now we're on the fortress of Luxembourg, like after Gibraltar, probably the most impressive fort in Europe after Gibraltar, I'd say. And we're looking down with all the tourists down into the valley, into the Grund, which is a very scenic area below the fort.
Tell us about football in Luxembourg. You are quite a small country, landlocked. What's the standard like here?
The standard's actually getting better and better. It's mainly because of our national team. Right now we're in the golden era of Luxembourgish football, if you can say so. We've never had a better national team ever. All our players, even the squad players of the national team, are professionals. They play in the Bundesliga, they play in the French league, the Belgian league, even all across Europe, even in the MLS. So and they're really having good results lately, beating Bosnia away. But unfortunately, the league is profiting from this, because even in Europe, our teams the club teams are getting better and better. But there's not that many Luxembourgers left in the clubs, and that's because the team owners, especially Hesper's owner, Flavio Becca, who's one of the richest men in Luxembourg, they go and recruit players from the third or fourth division in Belgium and France, and they bring them over the border to play in the Luxembourgish league, where they can give them the same wages as in the third or fourth tier in France. The clubs in Luxembourg in the top division don't have that many Luxembourgers playing in them. It's mainly foreigners, and that's a bit of a problem to get the atmosphere going and such things in the league.
Swift Hesper have spent quite a bit of money as well, haven't they, with their owner, and that's brought about a change in fortunes.
That has, and people were thinking that it would happen even faster, that it would happen even last season. But last season they ended up being third, so they almost became champions. But this season, yes, with the money, so it has come to fruition, this real big investment by Flavio Becca. He used to be the big owner of another club, Dudelange, and with that money, back then, that was 4 seasons ago, Dudelange actually managed to qualify for the Europa League group stage twice in a row. So we had teams like AC Milan, Betis Seville and Olympiacos playing here, which was insane for every Luxembourgish football fan. And then because of a conflict with the local council, where he tried to convince the local council to invest in better infrastructures for Dudelange, the Dudelange local council said, no, that's too much for us. And then he said, well, then I'm going to take my money elsewhere. And he chose Hesperange. He could have chosen anywhere, because everybody wanted his money. But he chose Hesperange. I don't know why, but he did. And look what he's done. He's become champions for the first time ever. This club has become champion with his money.
It's quite a climb to the top here of this fortress.
I'm out of breath already. I used to be in better shape, but there you go.
Have you managed to catch your breath yet, Nick?
Just about, Mary Kay. It was a lovely view, but you've got to climb a lot of steps. and it was very warm. So it was great. And this is what they call a fortified city. So you've got the rocky cliffs, and you've got the gorges and the valleys around the two rivers that meet and run through the centre of Luxembourg. And they used to say this was the biggest fortress in Europe back in medieval times. So you have to put a bit of work in to get to those areas to get the best views. But it was lovely to catch up with locals, really, but know more about Luxembourg football than we do, and how the national team is doing very well, but how the domestic scene here is very much dominated by Swift Hesper and the amount of money that's been ploughed into them in the last couple of years.
Well, I'm just drawing some similarities between Swift Hesper and TNS in that regard, that they are the standout team in the league.
Yeah, well, they are now. I think, predominantly it used to be F91 Dunderlange, and now 6 of those players have left to join Swift Hesper. In fact, the Dunderlange manager even left to become the Swift Hesper manager. And the one thing is about this team is that it is very, very new. They have made a lot of changes, even in the off-season after winning the championship. But some of these players have experience playing with Dunderlange in Europe. They played against AC Milan here. I think it was Olympiacos as well. So they played in the group stages, so they do have some experience. And I think that we're probably all guilty of being a bit naive in thinking that, well, it's Luxembourg. It's a tiny country stuck between Belgium, France and Germany. It can't be that good a team, surely. Well, they managed to get in the best players from the lower leagues in those big countries, and that's why they've got such a good team and have such big ambitions.
Well, I don't think that manager Craig Harrison has been underestimating the challenge tonight against Swift Hesper. If TNS can win tonight, they'll progress to the 3rd qualifying round of the competition. But there's still at least 90 minutes of football to be played before we get there, so we can't be getting too carried away. And manager Craig Harrison said exactly that.
Go either way, couldn't it? I think it showed that in the first leg. Obviously they missed a superb opportunity and as a penalty, but without having to go at Josh Daniels, it's probably chances easier than a penalty. And it's just he's met the ball instead of just caressing it in. The ball's a great ball in, and he's tried to put too much on it, and unfortunately just whenever the ball can happen. So I think as in chances, I think them two probably equal themselves out in chances a game. Yes, they hit the post twice, but looking back, reflecting on the game, statistically we dominated possession with 62% possession. The 2 or 3 opportunities we give them was our own downfall. So we've looked at it, we've worked on it all week in training, and we've got a plan to how we think we can still dominate the game, but also be a bit more fruitful in the final third.
Who do you think is their main threat?
Yeah, I think they've got 3 or 4, haven't they? I think from an attacking aspect, they're a very good team, and that's not being disrespectful to defenders, because there's some internationals in there as well. So we haven't got to be flippant or dismissive of that, far from it. But I was really impressed with the 3 forwards that started and the 3 forwards that come on. It's a fantastic option to have if you've got them options. Unfortunately last week we didn't have them options because we had 3 or 4 players injured. Actually we had 5 or 6 players injured. So we're hoping that we might get a few more minutes out, a few more of them this week, but we still haven't got a fully fit squad, far from it.
And Deck McManus, obviously a big part of your success in the league, wasn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's done fantastic. Second season, coming up to the start of his 3rd season at the football club, scored 30 plus goals in both seasons. The first year he was here, he scored goals in Europe, scored our Champions League goal last week, 2 weeks ago against Hacken. So yeah, it's been a body blow, to say the least, and that's not being disrespectful to anybody else, because we've got so many more very good players and we're very much a team unit. But I think anyone would be silly not to think that your top goal scorer doesn't, if he's not on the pitch, facts say that there's less chance of scoring a goal.
Well, facts say if there's less chance of scoring a goal with him off the pitch, there's more chance of scoring when he's on the pitch, and he does start tonight, Nick Southall.
For the second round of
Yeah, that's right. It's a big call by Craig Harrison. We know that Dec McManus has been really struggling with an injury. He did come on as a substitute against Hesper last week at Parkour, but he does start tonight. So there are 2 changes for the TNS team. And that is Danny Redmond comes back into the side. He replaces Ben Clark. Dec McManus goes up front with the other change, with Jordan Williams dropping to the bench. So the team is Connor Roberts in goal. From right to left in defence Pask looks like he'll be in the centre alongside Astles, with Marriott playing left back and Davies playing right back. Then in midfield, Holden, who scored the equaliser 14 minutes from time last week. Smith is in there as well with Redmond. And then the front 3, McManus down the centre, Daniels to his right, and then it looks like Brobble will be to his left. So that's the starting 11 for the New Saints.
And we know that Declan McManus isn't still fully fit. Are we expecting him to, if they have got a lead, are we expecting him to come off if they feel like the job's done?
Well, I'm sure that will be the case. It's all about game management. The problem is, Mary Kate, that with the prospect of extra time and penalties, they have to be really careful with when they do make those changes, because it may be that they decide that actually, if it looks destined to go to extra time, that they will leave it a bit later to make some of those changes. It just depends on of course, how this game goes. But in an ideal world, they would have liked to have given him more time to prepare and a better rest between these 2 games. But there is so much on the line, because if they lose tonight, they are out of Europe, and that's what it's all about.
I know we talk a lot about McManus, but he's not the only threat that TNS have got. We've got Josh Daniels, Ryan Brobble starting, we saw Rory Holden last week scoring that goal. So it isn't only Declan McManus. We can't think that he's the only one, of course, that will provide any threat. But maybe with them, Hesper maybe focusing on him, might give space for some of the others, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Ryan Brobble can score goals. I think we mentioned earlier, though, I think his better position is slightly behind Dec McManus. It's not quite a number 10 position, but he can pull out wide, he can play down the channels, he likes to make runs into the penalty area, whereas McManus is a traditional old-fashioned centre forward. He likes to play with his back to goal, lean into the defender and try and turn and spin off the shoulder, get himself into a shooting position, and he brings other people into the game. So I think you make a very good point there, that Brobble, Daniels will be threats, but we saw what Rory Holden could do last week with that superb strike from 25 yards. So it doesn't matter who scores tonight, let's just hope it's a night to remember in Europe finally for the New Saints.
We focus a lot on the attacking side. What about defensively? If they want to go through, they've got to concede less than they score. It's pretty simple. But defensively, they are very, very solid in the league, but they've conceded in every game in this European campaign. How do they go about stopping Swift Hesper tonight?
That's a very good question, and if I had the answer, then I'll be manager of the New Saints and we'll be going to the group stages. I think that the key thing is that they've got a great goalkeeper in Connor Roberts. What happened at PK Häcken, the Swedish champions, was that they just got caught completely cold in the opening 12 minutes, and against high-level opposition. Some of those players have played in the Bundesliga, in Serie A, they played international football in World Cups, and they were up against the quality in that opposition, which hurt them very early on from wide areas with the pace that they had. Now, they won't experience the same here against Swift Hesper. That said, I thought Swift played brilliantly last week in the opening 15 minutes. The New Saints were very slow and pondersome with their own game when they were in possession in those opening stages. But Swift had all the kind of ambition to take the game to TNS early on in that game. So I think the key here is that defence that's been so solid in the Cumbria Premier really brings out the best of themselves tonight and make sure that they don't concede early on, that they grow in confidence on the ball and then take the game to Swift.
You were at the training session last night at the stadium in the city of Luxembourg. What did you see there? I know there's a growing injury list as well for Craig Harrison to contend with. What did you see last night? What was the mood like at training as well?
Well, the mood was very good. This is a very close-knit team that Craig Harrison has assembled. I think they really miss the likes of John Routledge, who hasn't travelled. He went off injured last week. So I think characters like that who've been there and done it over many years for them are a big loss. But I think that they were really buoyed by Dec McManus taking part in training last night and Danny Redmond in that midfield as well. So I think that, there is an air of real optimism. I think we do have to clarify this in the fact that there has been a lot of money spent by Swift Hesper building this team for the sole purpose of getting to the group stages. Now, the New Saints have the same ambitions, but probably don't have the same money as this wealthy benefactor coming in from Italy. So that's what they're up against, but they are more than capable, Mary Kate. This, as you saw, was a very even contest last week, and I'm sure it will be the same tonight.
It's felt like a case of what if a lot for TNS in recent years. Getting so close. Last season they came really close again. How is this the year? This is a £1 million question, like I say. But I'm going to use your seeing into the future. Is this the year that they can get to that elusive group stage that they've always wanted to get to?
Well, I think they've got a really good chance. Tonight is tough. But if they win tonight, I think if you look ahead to the next potential tie, either against Struga from North Macedonia or Podgorica from Montenegro, I don't think they'll be as strong as Swift Hesper. So then if it did go their way, they won the next tie, they would be in the playoffs. And they would miss some of those big teams in the playoffs. Aston Villa come in that round, Eintracht Frankfurt and Fiorentina and Lille. So some big teams, but because of how this draw works, they would miss all of those big teams. So they would have an outstanding chance of getting through. And why can't they? Why can't they be like a Dundalk from Ireland that can get through to the group stages as they have done numerous times before? Both very similar sized clubs. A lot of it is down to the luck of a draw. And the New Saints, if they can win tonight, I think will have an advantage.
Well, we're only 5 minutes away from kick-off now, so this is my favourite time. Get to ask you, both of you, Scott Harris and Nick Southall, your predictions for tonight's game.
Oh, well, it's so tough, isn't it? I think my prediction's going to be extra time and penalties.
I'm going 2-2, Mary Kate, and I'm going for a winner for the New Saints in extra time.
Well, let's hope, and we will find out very, very shortly where you join your commentary team of Scott Harris and Nick Southall next.
BBC Radio Shropshire Sports.
A very good evening. Welcome to Stade de Luxembourg. This is the national home of the Luxembourg team. And tonight it is the home of Swift Hesper here in the UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier, the second qualifying round. And this tie is very delicately poised at 1-1. The New Saints were a goal down early on in the game last week at Parkour, but equalised through Rory Holden towards the end to give them this equal footing going into tonight's game here in the heart of Europe. The two teams have made their way out onto the pitch in front of us. The New Saints in their white and green colours, and Swift Hesper all in red as they line up in front of us, and they will share pennants as they pass over their presentation gifts between these two champions of their respective countries. And as we've been finding out here in Luxembourg City, this fortified city with its rocky cliffs towering above the river Alzette, the remains of the old fortress standing on the hills above the gorges. And we've been speaking to the national media here today to get a real feel for Swift Hesper and where they stand in Luxembourg football. And as we heard earlier on, we spoke to a passport official yesterday. We came through passport control, we had our passport stamped, and the official said, "What's your business here?" And we said about this game that we're commentating on, and he said, Swift Hesper, they are not a popular team, and that is because it's felt here that their wealthy benefactor has really bought the championship, just because that they have spent so much money on building a squad and stealing the best players from their rivals, that it has been quite an unfair advantage. But that's what happens in football. It's sometimes money really does talk, and that's what's happened here in Luxembourg. They have real ambitions of making the group stages, just as the New Saints of Oswestry do as well. We'll bring in our summariser Scott Harris very shortly here on BBC Radio Shropshire. We're on BBC Sounds tonight for online commentary as well. But this stadium that we're in is magnificent. It's only 2 years old. They spent 80 million euros building it. And the seating around us, well, it's in the pattern of the Luxembourg flag, with red on the top seats, white in the middle, and light blue on the bottom seats. And the walls, the surface of the structure around us is made of white diamonds. But we're told as the sun goes down and the floodlights take effect that we will see all of those illuminated in different colours of red and blue as the game goes on. Well, the home supporters are gathered behind the goal away to our left and in the main grandstand here, and the New Saints supporters over in the far right-hand corner of the National Stadium as we get ready for the start of this game here on BBC Radio Shropshire. The referee is Ismail Barbara from Malta, and we're underway. The second leg of this crucial European game. Winner takes it all, losers are out of Europe. The New Saints are kicking from our left to right in this first half, and a glorious sunny evening here in this landlocked country of Luxembourg, as just the penalty area away to our right, bathed in sunshine and baby blue skies above us. The New Saints in white and green hoop tops, white shorts and white socks, and Swift Hesper, the Luxembourg champions, all in red. And it's the home team who have possession as they pass the ball into the New Saints half. And here comes last week's goal scorer, Simeão Martins. It's a wonderful goal for them after just 14 minutes. Rory Holden equalising, though, 16 minutes from time to take it into tonight's game. Very delicately poised, Scott Harris. What a mouth-watering contest we've got, because it was quite a dramatic game last week.
Yeah, this is where you go for broke, isn't it? Your European adventure comes down to 90 minutes, maybe more, extra time and penalties. Well, you would take penalties now as a New Saints supporter. I think you'd probably say yes, but there's still plenty of time for the New Saints to maybe get ahead in this time.
Well, the New Saints have the ball just inside the Swift Hesper half. They've made 2 changes from last week. The headlines being that Dec McManus has been past fit, last season's leading goal scorer for TNS. So he starts up front. Now a mistake by the New Saints and a golden chance for Stoltz. What were they doing there? And they've scored! A terrible, terrible pass over on the left-hand side of midfield, and they've just passed it straight to Stoltz, and Stoltz nutmegs the keeper Connor Roberts, and after just 1 minute and 50 seconds, Swift Hesper have scored, and what a gift that is from the New Saints. A terrible, terrible start here in Luxembourg.
It's a lottery win for Stoltz, isn't it? He was just left unmarked, burst his way through. It was a mistake, but it was a calm finish. And what can you say? Everything we said in the build-up to this game, concentration from the get-go, can't be sloppy, and that's exactly what TNS have been. And Craig Harrison can't believe it. He's stood on that touchline there, hands in his pockets. I don't think he can quite believe what he's just seen there.
You may have missed just before that though, Scott, Craig Harrison chucking his water bottle, crashing it into the floor because he cannot believe that the New Saints have just handed Swift Hesper a goal on a plate. It was a terrible back pass. At the other end though, here come the New Saints, near post, and they've scored! No, it's hit the post! It's hit the post on the right-hand side. A brilliant strike, but it looked like it had gone in off the post, but it didn't. It was Rory Holden who scored last week, and the post has denied him. In the space of 3 minutes, we nearly had 2 goals there, one each for both of these teams, but it's Swift Hesper who lead here on the night.
If the next 86 minutes are as eventful, we're going to be in for quite some ride. But going back to the goal, Stoltz just was calm under pressure, slotted the ball under the goalkeeper. Connor Roberts couldn't really do anything about that one-on-one. And at the other end, it was Declan McManus with the good flick, but not to be off the post.
What a dramatic start here. Here come the New Saints down the left. It's a very open game, even after just 3 minutes here. Chris Marriott chips it forward. Redmond's in good room. The Swift defence looks completely asleep. Here comes Dec McManus trying to barge his way through. Gets past 2, but not past the goalkeeper. And we have to try and get our breath back here because, Scott, let's first of all reflect on that goal for Swift Hesper. Stoltz will not score an easier goal. What were they thinking?
I haven't a clue. I'm shell-shocked. The fact that everything that's been said, Craig Harrison has drummed it into this side all week, even for the past 3 weeks, about the importance of starting well, and they have handed the lead on a plate to Swift Hesper. And I mean, Craig Harrison will be absolutely livid. I suppose the only good thing is that he's got another 40 minutes to calm down, but I don't think that's going to be enough.
Well, then he was nearly a very happy man because Rory Holden had broke down the right and there was no defenders in front of him. Took the shot on, hit the inside of the post. Then I thought Josh Daniels should have done better on the rebound, but didn't get there in time. Yeah. But this is a very open game. Swift look all over the place in defence, and if we were asked here on how this game's going to finish, we would not have a clue because this is extremely open and one of those games, a start to a game that you very rarely see. 5 minutes gone, Swift 1, the New Saints 0, 2-1 Swift lead on aggregate. We haven't even given you the teams yet. Connor Roberts is in goal. We may have to break off again as once again Brobble finds room. The keeper's out of his area. Danny Davis goes himself into the midfield but couldn't find a shooting position. Instead he passes it out to Marriott, midway inside the Swift half. Forward pass to Josh Daniels on the dead ball line. Daniels back into Marriott again. Threaded through towards Danny Redmond. Overhit pass and Swift kick it out of play for a throw to TNS. Let's start again. Connor Roberts is in goal. It is the defence of Pask, Astles, Marriott and Davies in midfield. It's going to be Smith, Redmond as we look at it, and Holden. Then up front McManus with Daniels to his right and Brobble to his left. The Swift team is Dupier in goal, from right to left in defence, Ekafo, Jamie, Skenderovic and Martins. Then 4 in midfield, Stoltz, Moran and Courteria. Sakras is on the left. Up front, Sinani and Alawi. Here come the New Saints again. So much room here for Ryan Brobble. Near post shoots. Yes! No, it's at the inside of the post again. Ryan Brobble hits the inside of the post again. Exactly where Rory Holden had struck the woodwork. And they could have been 2-1 up here, the New Saints, after just 7 minutes. But they are 1-0 down here in the capital, Luxembourg City.
Well, they've hit the same post twice now in the opening 7 minutes, and it's ricocheted just along the goal line. We thought it was in both times, and Sadly not to be, but what a start to this game. It's one thing I have noticed, there was a chance here for Stoltz.
Well, here comes Stoltz now. He's got himself between the two defenders. It's like a game of basketball here at the Stade de Luxembourg in this European qualifier. The ball's played into midfield, shooting chance for Courtois, and he looks to bend it into the top corner, and it goes wide. Well, already we'll be calling for some oxygen with the way this is going, because it is very hard to keep up with, well, both teams going at it straight away.
Yeah.
There are holes all over the place in both defences here,
and
Scott.
What I've noticed is that Stoltz, who did start on the right side of midfield, he's swapping with not only Siniani on the other side of the pitch,
Another
but also
mistake
Sakras.
here. Leo Smith heads it away, and they shoot from just outside the area, and it's just wide from Siniani, who was bought from one of the rivals, Dunderlange, here in Luxembourg. A good strike by him across the keeper, and it just goes wide. They're attacking the goal away to our left, and it's, as we say, either a game of basketball or tennis. Take your pick, because the ball is flying from end to end.
I think the Hesper players are rotating as well. The likes of Stoltz and Sakras and Siniani, that they are just rotating around. They're all having a go up front and then retreating back to a wide position. It's quite incredible to watch.
Well, Swift took the lead after 1 minute and 50 seconds here with a really horrible mistake by the New Saints, looking to pass it back into the defence, and there was no defence there. Straight to the German striker Stoltz, who nutmegged Connor Roberts to give Swift Hesper the lead. But then the New Saints have hit the woodwork, the same post twice, and the ball has rolled across the line twice in the space of 4 minutes, and we haven't had 10 minutes gone in this game. More room again for the New Saints. McManus fit to play, sweeps it out to the left-hand side to Marriott. Daniels on the overlap into the box, looks to play it against the defender to try and get a corner, but doesn't do so. Craig Harrison, very animated on the edge of the technical area, and still gaps appearing in defence. Paska slipped, and they were through with Stoltz, but the flag goes up from the linesman to save the New Saints on that occasion.
Lucky boy, isn't it? We're right in line with the linesman over on that far side. It's a good call, but you did feel for Pask, who slipped, lost his footing. Stoltz is a real handful. He's back in that front line position again, and the German, well, he looks hungry for goals. He's already got one, and, well, you wouldn't bet against him grabbing a few more.
Scott, I can't think of a start to a game as we've had here.
We're only in the 11th minute.
We've already had more happen in this game than we see in 90 minutes of most games.
Yes. Yeah, it's scarcely believable, isn't it? It just goes to show that this game's going to be open right until the death, hopefully.
Wide open. On aggregate, it's 2-1 to Swift Hesper. It's 1-0 on the night. BBC Radio Shropshire. Nick Southall and Scott Harris here, and it's. I think it's one of those nights where you don't want to go anywhere. Make sure you put the kettle on at half time, but I think if you go before then, you may well miss some drama here in Luxembourg, because what a game we have had so far in this 80 million euro stadium, which is only 2 years old. It's a magnificent stadium with its diamond shapes around the edges, and the sun just peering through those shapes and casting diamonds shadows on the pitch in front of us. The huge screen in the corners showing 1-0 to Swift Hesper, and 11 and a half minutes gone. A free kick for the home team, and they play in a town called Hesperange, which is about a 15-minute drive south of where we are here in the National Stadium. But because of the tournaments, the UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier, that's why it's played on such a big stage, and the game is very fitting for this stage as well, as Swift pass it from left to right in their defence, threaded down the line towards Alaoui, the Moroccan international. A mistake by Ekafo, the right back, but they've watered this pitch heavily and a few players have been slipping over. Here's Skenderovic, who played for Elversberg in the Bundesliga 2. And just where we are here in Luxembourg, to the south of us is France, the nearest city is Metz. To our northwest is Charleroi and Liège in Belgium, and to the northeast is Cologne in the bottom corner of Germany. And because of those neighbouring countries, Scott, that's where Swift have been able to raid some of those lower league teams, like in the Bundesliga, to bring in some star players.
Yeah, geographically, Luxembourg are situated very, very neatly, especially if you want to attract talent from the second, third, fourth tiers of those countries, especially if you've got the financial backer to pay their wages. Oh, the whistle's gone. I've just thought there might have been a moment of drama there.
Yeah, Ryan Assel's just with the clearance had kicked it straight against a swift Hesper striker, but the referee said he was too close. But yeah, it just shows the strength of this team, a very wealthy benefactor. I mean, this is the second richest nation in the world here in Luxembourg, and they've got somebody with lots of money pumping it in.
Well, yeah, given the geography of the size of the country, this is a country with the population just extra 100,000 more than Shropshire, with just over 500,000. So, not a big population base, but they've got a very strong league.
Good work by Dec McManus into the right channel. Rory Holden got himself into space. The referee allows advantage, but they judge that Holden had fouled Clement Courtois, the Frenchman, who is down and will receive some treatment, and the TNS players will take the opportunity to get some water on board. 14 minutes gone as the seconds tick by. We've had one goal. It came inside 2 minutes here for the home team through Stolz, but then TNS, after 3 minutes and 7 minutes, hitting the same post, making driving runs down the right, cutting into the channel and hitting the left-hand post, and both times the ball has rolled along the line, not over it, and that is how close TNS have been. Craig Harrison has a quick chance to speak to his players here while the physio's on for Swift. What do you think he'll be saying? Do you think he'll be pleased with the response that he's seen, or do you think he'll still be mortified with the horror goal that they conceded?
I noticed that none of the defenders have come over. Davies in particular, he's kept his distance. I mean, they've got to get their story straight, haven't they, for half-time? It was an awful mix-up in such an early stage of the game, given everything that's been said, given the events of the first leg. It's not the start that they wanted at all. It's certainly not what was in Craig Harrison's script.
Well, we're back underway. They are down to 10 men. The Frenchman midfielder is off, receiving some injury, some treatment. He's injured his nose by the looks of it. Here is Stolz, the captain again. Swings it in. Big chance on the back post, and it's squandered. Well, where was the defence? It was Stolz down the left. Saw the run of one of the strikers, Alaoui, and he sliced his shot high and wide into the red, white and sky blue colours of the Luxembourg flag behind the goal, but it was a big chance.
Oh, huge question marks there with the defence. Josh Pask in particular just was well beaten on the left side. Stolz can just outrun him, it seems, but I think the bigger question was, where was Ryan Astel's? The cross went, well, it was arrowed in, and he fluffed his
pass there by Chris Marriott, which was very nearly straight to Alaoui, but he's just managed to get it back to his goalkeeper. And they've got to be so careful. It's almost as if, Scott, that they've misjudged the pace of this pitch that they're playing on.
It would seem so. I just can't fathom some of the decision making isn't quite right at the moment from TNS. Craig Harrison is barking orders on this near touchline, and TNS just look very unsettled. They just can't string any passes together.
Well, both defences have more holes than a sieve at the moment. But can the New Saints get back on level terms? They are 1-0 down here on the night, 2-1 down on aggregate. Poor kick by the goalkeeper. Now it opens up for Rory Holden. He scored from this kind of position last week, but opts to pass it into the centre circle. Leo Smith passes it back to Astles, and here's Chris Marriott, the left back on the far side. Astles opts to pass it back to his keeper Connor Roberts, whose goalkeeping jersey matches the colours of the kind of blue that you see on the Luxembourg flag. And once again they opt to pass it back to Connor Roberts, who kicks it straight away over the halfway line towards Dec McManus. Passed a late fitness test to play here tonight, last season's leading goal scorer. It's a huge Boeing 737 flies overhead towards the international airport away to our left. They are so low as they head towards the runway that we can clearly see the airlines of that plane. Makes a huge roar. We saw that last night, didn't we?
Yeah.
Swift have the ball in their defence, and TNS happy for them just to keep the ball on the edge of their own penalty area. They're still Swift now patiently look to build up play. They look for those runs, don't they, of Stoltz. We see good movement from Sineni. He moves very well across that back line as well, Scott. But we saw last week that they have so many options on the bench as well, Hesper.
Well, that's the worry, isn't it? Paul Yongo, who hasn't started, one of the two changes for Hesper. But, you know, the players with the puppet strings, it would seem, you'd see very quiet, but actually strategically in a very good position, and that's Moran and Couturier in the centre of the park.
Oh, that looked a bad challenge on McManus, goes unpunished, and now they break through. Stoltz is offside. It was inside the centre circle, and that looks like a blatant foul from Couturier, actually coming in from behind there to catch McManus, who went down under that challenge. The referee from Malta, Ismail Barbara, just waved it away.
Yeah, and Craig Harrison having a word with the official there on this near touch line. He's not happy. It's been quite a opening 20 minutes for Craig Harrison, and for TNS, who find themselves in this position. It's a position of they've only got themselves to blame. Defensively they've looked so leaky, it's untrue.
And they still look very open as well, but the thing that gives you hope is that Swift Hesper look equally very uncomfortable at the back, and TNS have hit the woodwork twice here, but they can't afford to concede another goal, and there's real pressure on again here as Stoltz looks to get himself between the two defenders, but Marriott does well to head the ball back into his keeper's hands. 20 minutes gone. All the drama here in Europe on BBC Radio Shropshire. We're on BBC Sounds as well, bringing you exclusive commentary of this game from the National Stadium, the Stade de Luxembourg. And the New Saints, well, if it stays this way, will be going out of Europe. The winners, though, will go on and have a great chance of winning the next tie, because they will play either the victors of North Macedonia or Montenegro. That game gets underway in about 40 minutes time in Montenegro, and I think those are two very beatable teams, and then they have just one more qualifying round as they break into the box here. Penalty! Yes! Penalty for the New Saints, brought down just on the cusp of the penalty spot. It was a lovely run, and the New Saints have a great chance here of pulling themselves back into this game. It was a super run by Rory Holden, who scored the goal last week, and he has earned his side a penalty away to our right hand side, and it's going to be Dec McManus now to try and bring TNS back level in this European tie.
Definite penalty, no doubt about it. The referee didn't really have to take a second look at that one.
Well, here is McManus, fit to start. Lots of question marks about whether he would play tonight. Hasn't trained all week, but told Craig Harrison he wanted to play. Can he score here? Boos from the home supporters. as he stands and now runs up and scores straight down the middle. Jack McManus brings the New Saints level in this game. It's Swift Hesper 1, the New Saints 1, and now it makes it 2-2 on aggregate midway through the first half here on BBC Radio Shropshire.
Well, just forget the opening quarter. It's been like a basketball game. You mentioned that. Just forget about everything of the opening quarter. We're midway through the first half because we've reset the scores effectively. We're back level, and the drama, entertainment, if you can call it, or you can't call it that. Craig Harrison won't call it that. Well, it counts for nothing because back on terms in this tie, and that is big news for the New Saints who, well, if you were playing Monopoly, Nick, and I know you're a big fan of that board game, you've definitely just picked up a get-out-of-jail-free card there with that penalty.
We are in the second richest nation in the world.
We are staying in a hotel.
Yeah. One thing so by the hotel that we're in, but it served its purpose. But what a game this is. 23 minutes gone. Swift 1. The New Saints 1. Lovely, gorgeous evening here in the capital. Blue skies above us, the sun setting away to our left, and drama of European football. McManus scoring that goal from the penalty spot. That is his second goal in Europe in this summer campaign. He scored away against BK Häcken in Gothenburg a couple of weeks ago in the first half. A lovely header from a Jordan Williams cross.
He's got that build, isn't he, as a out-and-out striker where you just fancy him, don't you, to score a penalty. He just looked confident, he looked assertive, and he just thrashed it straight down the middle. And the goalkeeper didn't really stand a chance, and that's exactly what you need under pressure in big occasions like this.
Well, it's been a long time since I've seen a game like this. 24 minutes gone, 1-1, 2-2 on aggregate. But it could have been 2-1 on the night to the New Saints already. They've hit the woodwork twice as they concede a throw. This is midway inside the Swift half in all red in their home colours. The ball is thrown up to the halfway line. Stoltz lays it off. The home supporters banging the seats around us, making lots of noise. As Ryan Astles plays it long down the left wing. Something's caught your attention.
Just spotted Mike Harris, who's just behind us to our right. He's a changed man after that penalty.
But Gary Brabin, the director of football here as well, he may not be smiling here though, because it opens up for Swift. It's a brilliant block by Danny Davis. Still a chance though on the right edge, and it's struck over the bar from Ekafo. And it goes over into the home crowd. And Mike Davis up there wearing, I'm not sure what it is, it's like a Peaky Blinders burgundy hat, which doesn't really match the surroundings that we're in, but he normally wears a Crocodile Dundee hat.
Yeah.
You saw him earlier on with that on in around the city.
Yeah, there's been a change of headgear for Mike Harris, and he seems to be enjoying himself, even if the score is...
Well, he's smiling now.
Yeah.
He's smiling now. I don't think he was earlier on. I think there may have been some expletives. Nearly 26 minutes gone. 1-1 on the night. 2-2 on aggregate. As Ryan Astles wins his tackle there against Alawi. Stoltz, though, wins it back and looks to latch on to the header from Alawi. One of... 5 internationals or former internationals in this team. Sakras, who plays on the left-hand side here, represented Luxembourg, played for Metz in the French leagues. As the home team switch the ball from left to right, and they look equally uncomfortable defensively, Scott. Why is this game so open?
Well, that's the positive, isn't it? For all the flaws self-inflicted from the New Saints, well, Swift haven't capitalised on the number of opportunities that they've been given. So the fact that they are on terms, well, they just won't quite know how. We can see the opposing manager, Carlos Panguero. He's got his hands on his hips. He's wearing shoes that are very shiny.
He may be angry here. Here's Josh Daniels, whips in across just over the head of Ryan Brovelin. It's just curled behind for a goal kick. They claim it should have been the corner, TNS, but not given by Mr. Barbara, the referee. It's 20 years or so since they played against Man City in the UEFA Cup qualifiers. Real fond memories for TNS supporters. That was when they was known as Total Network Solutions, Mike Harris's company. Daniels again looks for a pass down the left. Danny Redmond wasn't equal or on the same wavelength, so it's straight through to the Swift defence once more. They've had some big ties in Europe. They've played Liverpool, Anderlecht, the Belgian champions. Stoltz is offside here, and we were very much in line with that, and he was just a yard offside there, Stoltz, but he's looking very dangerous. He's played in the third tier of German football, and one of those big money signings made by the very wealthy benefactor here of Swift Hesper. A foul on Danny Davies. He's going to be okay though, and a free kick for the New Saints. 28 minutes gone here in the capital of Luxembourg, this fortified city with so many lovely landmarks. The Notre Dame Cathedral every hour, all the bells from the churches across the city ring out across the cityscape. It has a real network of underground tunnels that are dug 40 metres into the rock face, and they spread 20 miles around the city. Here comes Stoltz down the left with Hesper, and an important interception by pass, but it's still not clear here. Swift still have it on the right edge. There's a few very nervy players here in this TNS team who don't look overly confident with what they're doing. It's such a big stage for them here, Scott, that they won't be used to playing in this kind of arena.
Well, no, that's right, but also these are the big games and big occasions that you want to be playing in. So you've got to almost play the game, not the occasion, because they are more than equal to the Swift Hesper team, and they just need to make it count. Josh Pask there, just tracking back across the face of goal, got a crucial flick on to clear the danger, and the reading of the game, especially with that back line, has just got to get better and better if they're going to win this tie.
Oh, Swift having a bit of the possession here as the floodlights start to take effect with the sun setting away to our left towards the city centre. A foul there on Rory Holden, no, waved away by the referee. And now the keeper for Swift comes out of his penalty area as Jordan Dupierre, who cost €50,000 to sign. There's another huge plane flies overhead. Can't work out the logo of that one. It is so close to us though. It's probably Luxair or something like that. Magnificent sight above us here at this national stadium.
I think it's a cargo plane from sight, yeah.
That's very good. That's very good. Now, the keeper is, what is he doing here? It's like Bruce Grobbelaar from the 1990s. It came towards the corner flag and started kicking it back towards the centre of his penalty area. TNS didn't have anybody there though. At the other end they have to defend. Connor Roberts just slightly late coming off his line, but the ball is back safely in his hands. 31 minutes gone. Swift 1, TNS 1 in this UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier. This is the competition that West Ham won last year. There are some big clubs potentially in the playoffs. TNS won't have to play them. They would have an easier route through to the group stages if they win here tonight. But the likes of Aston Villa, Eintracht Frankfurt, Fiorentina, Lille are all potential opponents if they did get to the group stages. Here's Chris Marriott on the far left-hand side, 25 yards away from goal. Marriott into the left channel. Smith allows the ball across his path and swings it out to the right. He's one of two players in this squad that can speak fluent Welsh. The move breaks down following that cross. Sliding challenge from Redmond coming back from injury. Swift have a player down injured, and it's one of their key players as well who seems to have picked up a knock over on this near side. Sakras, who delivers a wicked cross, but it looks like he may have strained the muscle. Shot from outside the area, but it's sliced wide and very nearly hits the corner flag rather than the goal away to our left. Nick Southall and our summariser Scott Harris alongside me. Scott, 13 minutes to go until half time. There is no sign that this game is slowing down.
If anything, it's hotting up, isn't it? And if it stays the same going into the second half, it's going to be incredible with the final 20 minutes or so if it stays the same, because both sides will be going for it. And
well, this game could go either way.
Yeah.
1-0 down after 1 minute and 50 seconds, TNS, with a horrible pass back to the keeper which fell well short, and it just was a gift to the German striker Stolz to score. And then TNS, after just 3 minutes in this game, went up the other end, and the shot from Rory Holden on the right edge, striking the inside of the post, rolling along the line, nobody there to follow up with another shot. And then just 4 minutes after that, they did exactly the same thing, down the right again. This time it was Ryan Brobble with the shot, same post, same outcome, ball rolling along the line. But the equaliser finally came after 22 minutes. Rory Holden, who's had such an impact in this tie overall, scoring in the first leg, tripped over inside the box, and Deck McManus with a very cool finish straight down the centre to bring TNS back on level terms.
If you look at things at face value, and if you take that mistake out of the equation, TNS would be in front in this tie.
But you wouldn't put it past them scoring here, because it's opened up for Ryan Brobble. It's down the right, which is where they're getting lots of joy, but he runs straight into a brick wall there, Ryan Brobble. And now possession is overturned, but TNS will get a throw, and they are forced into a change. So Cedric Sakras, the former Luxembourg international, has had to go off. He is going to be replaced here by Davis Spruits. So Spruits comes on. And let's quickly get this out of the way, Scott Harris. You mentioned last week there's a funny squiggly bit above the U in Spruits. What did you call it last week?
Oh, in German, so I would call it an umlaut.
Unloud, so I'll take your word for it. Nobody picked you up on it last week. I didn't do German, so I'm not sure, but you were adamant that's what it was last week, and you're quite keen to point that out. So Davis Spruits is on, and that's a forced change for the home team with 10 minutes to go over this first half. TNS defending the goal away to our left-hand side. Over high in the gods on the grandstand on the far side, the Luxembourg flag, the Welsh flag, the UEFA flag hung up there at the National Stadium. As the team all in red, Swift attack down this left wing with Spruits. Now into the penalty area, decent cross. Marriott calmly puts the ball behind. He had to do that very quickly because Ekafo was making a late run into the box and nearly got there. Good work by Chris Marriott.
Yeah, it was good defending, and Spruits, since he's come on, bags of energy, straight swap in terms of the position on the pitch. And well, he's earned Swift a corner.
Good atmosphere generated by both sets of supporters. And the corner's taken short into the feet of the man at the near post, and Ben Stolz was in there. Kicks it against Ryan Brobble. It's going to be a corner once again for Swift Hesper. So more defending here for TNS. Craig Harrison and one of his backroom team, Chris Sargent, are deep in conversation on the edge of the technical area right in front of us. They've spotted something that they want to change, but they're not going to be able to do that at the moment, although the referee is calling over Deck McManus. and looks like it's Martins, the Portuguese defender, who are being called over. And that gives Harrison the chance to relay the message to the defenders.
Well, that message has definitely got through to the back line, so they have to stay organised to defend this corner.
The home fans trying to generate some momentum for them. It was a weak corner, and the referee's given a free kick on the penalty spot for the visitors, the New Saints of Oswestry, flying the flag both for Shropshire and for Wales. A lot of interest in TNS because they want to become the first Cymru Premier team to go all the way to the group stages. Haverfordwest County, of course, still in Europe, hoping to do the same as well. And it's the 18th time that Craig Harrison's taken charge in Europe, and we're told that he's second only in history of any English manager, despite being qualifiers, behind Bobby Robson. So that is quite an accolade for Craig Harrison. He's been to the likes of Videaton in Hungary and Apoel Nicosia, Slovan Bratislava, which is the team that knocked out Swift Hesper in the Champions League qualifiers to make this tie possible. TNS also falling out of the Champions League qualifiers, losing to the Swedish champions BK Häcken, who are level after their first leg against Klaksvik, going into their home tie. But this is last chance saloon. Winner takes all tonight. It will be extra time and penalties if required. 1-1 this evening, 2-2 on aggregate, but it could quite easily have been 3-1 to the New Saints. And we still have 6 minutes of this first half to go. But it's Swift Hesper on the attack again to the dead ball line. Here's Sprudz, and he wins another corner, and they're just having a bit of a spell here, aren't they, the Luxembourg champions?
Yeah, Sprudz is an equal handful to Sakaras, who went off. So another man of equal danger who's come on. We saw a bit of him at Park Hall last Tuesday, and well, nothing's changed. He's still a handful.
Well, over this one is the midfielder, Courteria. Now Sprudz flicks it out to the back post, and it's headed wide. No danger there on the TNS goal. Well, Swift Hesper, the furthest they've gone in Europe was a long time ago. Back in 1990, they reached the first round of the UEFA Cup, but lost out to another team that TNS have played in recent history, Legia Warsaw from Poland. The New Saints, their last win in Europe came a couple of years ago when they beat Zalgiris, the Lithuanian champions, 10-1 on aggregate in the second qualifying round, but then lost out in the third qualifying round to Victoria Pilsen in this same competition. Back underway. Swift appealing for a free kick on the halfway line, not given. But then a foul by Courteria, and he has been in trouble already with the referee. Wasn't shown a card previously, but I think he's quite lucky. He's got a yellow card here, but there was an incident earlier in this game when he brought down Declan McManus in the centre circle, and I think when we see referees in Europe, they are quite quick to brandish those cards, and I think he's probably lucky to still be on the pitch.
Well, the referee last Tuesday, was lenient, to say the least, and Martins went into the book for the penalty, and Courteria has gone into the book now, so 2 yellow cards for Swift to deal with.
And we have 3.5 minutes to go of the first half. We'll probably have a bit of stoppage time as well. There have been a couple of injuries here. The Swift on the charge again. Room on the D. Stoltz shoots. Brilliant block by Astles. Flung himself at the ball. Appeals of handball around us, waved away by the referee. Still they attack down this left-hand side. Looking to regain the lead in this tie. Here's Sprudge, and he's tackled by Rory Holden on the edge of the TNS box. And it will be another corner for the home team as boos ring out and cascade around the National Stadium here at the Stade de Luxembourg.
It did come steaming out and threw his body at it. It's impossible to see where the ball hit. I felt it was his chest. But the crowd behind the goal, who might have had a better view, they think otherwise.
Well, it's nowhere near a penalty, was it? It was a brilliant block by Ryan Astles, who put his body on the line there to block that shot. They'll be pleased to see the back of Stoltz. They need to keep him quiet. He is finding lots of room around the edge of the box. Corner's taken then. It's gone through everybody. Collected on the other side. Recycled back into the box on this near post. A scuff shot from Courtois. That was a really good chance for him, and he just couldn't get a good connection. It's back out to his left wing though, in front of our commentary position, 25 yards away from goal. Alawi goes for goal. Roberts scampering across his line and had it covered. Good save, and it goes behind for another corner as the pressure continues to build.
There's an excellent stop from Connor Roberts, who got down low. It was a ball that just took an absolute age to get towards the goal line, but he scrambled across to his right side, got down low, parried it around the post for another corner.
I think I can hear a lone cry of TNS around us. I could be mistaken, but it might be Mike Harris.
I think it is. He's very vocal up there on the balcony.
Corner's taken by Stoltz. Right into the mix, headed away by Astles, and then the shot from the defender, a real defender's shot from Jamie, goes out for a goal kick. And as we said, with the floodlights coming on, we have the whole of the outer part of the stadium illuminated in red and blue. It's a glorious sight in front of us. Those diamond shapes now glowing red and blue, which really adds to the atmosphere here generated inside this National Stadium as Connor Roberts delivers the goal kick. 40 seconds of the first half to go. Full match coverage here on BBC Radio Shropshire. Daniels nearly got himself into a shooting position, but the keeper did really well. You mentioned, referred him to Bruce Grobbelaar earlier. Grobbelaar liked to come off his line and venture around his own penalty area. It's a good save there by De Peer.
Yeah, they paid €50,000 for him 2 seasons ago. It was worth up to €200,000. It spells in Belgium and France. 29-year-old Frenchman. Youth player in France. Lots of experience in the lower leagues there, as the fourth official puts up the board. 3 added minutes, which frankly, given the entertainment we've had and the stoppages, I expected more. But 3 minutes is the additional time, and well, we're still level, Nick. And I think after the half we've had, I didn't quite think we'd be saying that.
Well, from a neutral point of view, this game has not disappointed. We said before it feels like it's going to be another tight game. We went into this away leg with this delicately poised tie at 1-1. Well, it's 2-2 now on aggregate, 1-1 on the night. Swift Hesper scoring early, very early, inside the opening couple of minutes. But then TNS getting back on level terms after 22 minutes. Holden brought down inside the area, and there was McManus to dispatch successfully the penalty past the keeper De Peer, who's back up on his feet. And the new Saints did the sporting thing, throw the ball behind for a goal kick. And we are into stoppage time here at the Stade de Luxembourg. Mary Kate Wilden presenting back in the UK. Remember, we're 1 hour ahead of you, so if it does go to extra time and penalties, it will be late into the night here in Luxembourg before this game finishes. We'll bring you full post-match reaction with Mary-Kate Wilden as well from the camp here. The ball goes out for a throw, and Danny Davies will take this throw on the halfway line. He's got Brovel down the line, McManus in the centre. He looks for McManus. It was read by the defender who wins his header, and it's nestled into the feet there of Sinani. Good clearance by Pask. Now McManus running. Here comes the keeper, De Peer, outside of his area, but he kicks it straight to Brovel, and it hit him on the shoulder. Had it just fallen nicely for him, Brovel could have done a kind of a David Beckham shot. Remember when he chipped the keeper from the halfway line?
Yep.
Well, it was an open, gaping goal for him.
No, it was just like that. Remember that goal?
David Seaman as well.
Yeah, Seaman was done, wasn't it, at the World Cup? Neil Sullivan was the goalkeeper on that occasion for David Becker back in, was it 95, 96?
Very good memory. Still see his face, can you, when he looks back and thinks...
He's backpedaling, yeah, he's backpedaling, and just can't believe that it's gone in. One of the Premier League's greatest goals, surely.
A free kick for Hesper now. This is quite a way out though, midway inside the TNS half. Too far out you would fancy to take the shot on, but they may either take it short. Spruds has pulled out wide on this left wing, or it will be laid up to the far post. Instead it's played to feet. It was well worked by Couturier, cleared by McManus though. Spruds will want to keep this in play to keep the pressure on as they try and squeeze TNS further back in this vice-like grip that Swift Hesper have got on them in the last 10 minutes or so. The pressure really has been building here with corner after corner, wave after wave of attack. TNS haven't quite been as effective as they were in the opening 20 minutes or so in that attacking third. It's defence which has been kept busier. Good header by Pask. McManus doesn't panic, controls the ball well and passes it back to Redmond. Rory Holden, who's probably been the player of the tie so far for Craig Harrison's side. Nearly latched onto a through ball there, but couldn't do so. And there we go, half time. Craig Harrison, I'm sure, will be having a few words with his team because they gifted Swift an early lead here after 1 minute and 50 seconds. It was a terrible pass from that left-hand side which sold the goalkeeper short. Stoltz got himself through, a real gift for him, and he nutmegged the keeper Connor Roberts to give Swift the lead. But what a response it was from the New Saints. Just 2 minutes later, Rory Holden went racing down the right wing. A shot from him on the right edge of the penalty area, which hit the inside of the post and went along the line. Then after 7 minutes, they did exactly the same, but this time it is Ryan Brovel. Same position, same outcome. Inside of the post, along the line. But that equaliser finally came midway through the first half. Rory Holden tripped down inside the penalty area. Dec McManus, who hasn't trained all week, from the penalty spot, smacked it straight down the centre to make it 1-1 on the night, 2-2 on aggregate. Lots of supporters leaving their seats around us here, Scott, with smiles on their faces and probably really bewildered by what they've seen in that first half.
Yeah, it's been a pulsating first half, end-to-end stuff from both sides. A spirited fight back from the New Saints after, well, another wobbly start, and Craig Harrison to be a fly on the wall at half-time, Nick Southall. The script that he would have been preparing with his notebook after that opening 10-minute spell, well, it would have been fascinating to find out exactly what he was going to say, but they've hit the post twice. How one of them hasn't gone in is beyond me. The fact that both ricocheted off the woodwork and ran along the goal line, just the wrong side from our perspective, well, difficult to fathom. But Declan McManus has once again got TNS out of jail in Europe, and they live again and breathe again in the second half.
Well, Mary Kate will have to get our breath back after that, because we could have even longer, of course. It could be extra time and it could be penalties. So I'm sure everybody's nerves are frayed. What an amazing first half we've had once again. I can't quite believe it. 1-1, 2-2 on aggregate.
Sounds like it's been a thrilling first half over in Luxembourg with TNS taking on Swift Hesper. We'll get some more reaction very shortly.
Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary Kate Wielden.
Well, it sounds like it's been a very thrilling first half over in Luxembourg with TNS taking on Swift Hesper in the second qualifying round of the UEFA Conference League. That's all level at half-time with 1 goal apiece. So went behind in the first 2 minutes. What they wanted to avoid was going behind early, but they did go behind after 2 minutes. But, of course, it was that man, Declan McManus, with the penalty to bring them level. Well, while our commentary team of Nick Southall and Scott Harris are catching their breath, let's have a look at what's going on elsewhere. We've got some more games tonight in the Europa Conference League. Valmira beat Treypen 7-0 in the second leg, so they beat them 10-0 on aggregate. In the games elsewhere, Belzan FC are currently drawing with Niemann Grondo. That's 0-0, but 2-0 on aggregate to Niemann. Fenerbahce, they've gone 3-0 up in the first half against Zimbru Cinzano. That's 8-0 on aggregate to Fenerbahce. And of course, over in Luxembourg, it's 1-1 between Swift Hesper and the New Saints. Now, let's see if we can head back over to Luxembourg to join our commentary team of Nick Southall and Scott Harris. Have you got your breath back yet?
Not quite. I think we're still trying to take it in, really. It's just so hard, Mary Kate, to say which way this tie is going to go. I think it was a bit ominous with how strong Swift Hesper looked towards the end of that first half. They haven't quite got their shooting boots on at the moment. And remember that goal that they scored early on, it was an absolute gift. They didn't have to do much at all, apart from Stoltz just had the keeper to beat. So on that front, they haven't looked as dangerous inside the penalty area as maybe a BK Häcken with the quality they had, the Swedish champions. But that said, the pressure has been building because they've had lots of corners, especially towards the end of the half. I think since Schruds has come on, they've looked very lively, particularly down the left-hand side. So that's something that TNS need to work on. But I do think that Swift's defence looks equally unsettled. I actually think that TNS have defended well in that period towards the end. So I think Ryan Astles and Pask in particular have looked very strong, and Davies as well have all had good ends to that first half. But I think that Scott Harris is here as well. But the Swift defensively, when you look at it, Skenderovic and Jamie are two players that seem to have been caught out of position quite a bit.
Yeah, they have, and equally you look at the other end, and Astles and Pask have been leaky themselves. So I think both sides have got questions to answer with their back lines and how organised they can stay in the second half. I mean, it begs to ask the question, how on earth this tie is only 2-2 on aggregate, because looking at the first leg and putting the pieces together from the first half of the second leg, it could easily be 4, maybe 5 all on aggregate at this point. We've had an absolute hatful of chances in this tie, and really the question that both managers will be asking to their players in the dressing room now, Mary Kate, will be, well, who wants this? Who wants this game more? Because we're gifting the opposition, both managers will be saying this, chances to get back into the game and get themselves off the hook, because that's exactly what it's been. It's been a first half of this second leg of pure mistakes from both sides, and the fact that it is on level terms going into the second half of the second leg, well, I can't quite fathom that, and I'm looking forward to the second half now.
Well, cometh the hour, cometh McManus. We was talking about him so much beforehand, and there he is, popping up with the penalty to get them back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Declan McManus, he's big, he's strong, he looks more than capable of burying a penalty, and that's exactly what he did. He fired it straight down the middle. The keeper stood no chance of saving it, and that's the sort of big money player you want to be taking penalties on big occasions and big nights in Europe like this. So Craig Harrison at half-time, I mean, after the first 10 minutes, his script would have been mostly fury, and must have had a temper on him, surely, based on what he saw after the opening couple of minutes. But mixed emotions for him. You know, the sloppy defending, the mix-up that gave Hesper the lead, he'll be very upset about that. But I think the spirited fight back that he's seen from TNS to get themselves back on level terms once again. And let's not forget, they could have had 3 goals with those missed opportunities, 2 of them coming off the woodwork. So, you know, TNS could easily have been behind in this tie, but they could have easily have been in front too.
Well, we know he's been blighted with a little bit of an injury. How's Declan McManus looking? Because you feel he's going to be so important. How is he looking? Is he looking all right?
Yeah, he is, Mary Kate. He's looking very, very good indeed. It's one of those really where I think they were taking a bit of a risk in playing him because he hadn't trained, and I think that they'll be hoping for as long as they can to get him, playing as much of this game as they can. That's the key thing for them. It's such a big game for them, because if they lose, they're out of Europe, aren't they? So they've just got to try and get as much out of him as they can.
Well, don't go anywhere. We've got the second half coming up next. There's the second half of Swift Hesper versus the New Saints. Don't go anywhere.
BBC Radio Shropshire Sports.
And welcome back to this European second leg of the UEFA Europa Conference League qualifiers. Swift Hesper 1, the New Saints 1. It's 2-2 on aggregate, as TNS are the first team to arrive out of the tunnel at this National Football Stadium. A magnificent stadium which you can see illuminated on the cityscape from miles around, illuminated in red and blue, not quite as big as maybe somewhere like Bayern Munich's ground, where if you've ever been there to see any German football, you can see the Alliance Arena from miles away all lit up. Well, this is very similar, but just on a smaller scale. And well, we just do not know, we have no clue which way this tie is going to go, because it has been a roller coaster ride so far in this tie. One person who's been outstanding has been Rory Holden. He's been the player of the tie when you look at the impact that he's made, Scott Harris. He scored the equaliser last week, set up the equaliser tonight here in Luxembourg with that penalty, and been instrumental in that midfield.
Yeah, invaluable, and he's been pulling the strings in that midfield when TNS have needed it most. They haven't had much joy through the centre. They haven't had much joy over on that left side, and I think getting somebody like Daniels into this game will be what Craig Harrison will be looking to do, just having a quick look to see if there's any changes into the second half. We're almost playing spot and substitute as Hesper return to the field. But yeah, those avenues of opportunities, the joys mostly come down from the right side, crosses fizzing in over to that back stick and hit the post twice. And I'm still asking that question, Nick Southall, as to how those 2 opportunities off the post didn't end up in the back of the net. They just ricocheted off the woodwork and trickled along the goal line, and just another millimetre of precision and it might have gone in.
We're back underway. The supporters around us still taking to their seats as we are back into this second half. The New Saints kicking from our right to left in their green and white hoop tops, white shorts and white socks. Swift Hesper, the Luxembourg champions, all in red. So TNS kicking to our left, which is the goal nearest to our commentary position here. We're right in the heart of these supporters, so it's a lovely vantage point that we've got. And we're live, exclusive coverage here on BBC Radio Shropshire and on BBC Sounds as well. So if you're going out and about and don't want to miss what's happening, you can download the BBC Sounds app and you'll find the coverage there by searching for BBC Radio Shropshire as Swift attack down the left on the halfway line. No changes for either side at half-time. Of course, there was that forced change for Swift with Sakras going off and Sprood coming on due to an injury. So the TNS team is Roberts in goal, a defence of Davies, Task, Astles and Marriott. In midfield, Smith, Redmond and Holden. Then up front, down the centre, their leading goal scorer in the Cymru Premier last year, Dec McManus. To his left, Josh Daniels. On his right, Ryan Brobble. There's a clash of coming together of players inside the centre circle. Brobble is down and won't require any treatment. Took a knock to his right arm. And it's actually a free kick for Swift that was given. So they attack down the right with Skenderovic. Easily picked out with the long black ponytail behind him. And now a throw for Swift on the edge of the penalty area. Big crowd in here tonight watching on. Still lots of people making their way to the seats. If it's anything like the security that we had to get through, it's a bit like Fort Knox here. We talk about this fortress city, one of the biggest fortresses in medieval Europe. Well, it's like a fortress getting into here a bit earlier on, Scott.
Yeah, we asked one of the security officials if what time we'd get in and if we'd get in before kick-off, and he said he didn't know. So that didn't fill us with confidence.
Here's Stoltz on the right into the near post, cleared by Brobble, but then it's Courteria who's tripped up by Redmond. Now this is a very dangerous position. I think it was a foul. Free kick right of the D. TNS complain, firstly, because they realise this is a bad position to concede a free kick, but also they had 3 players against 2 defenders there had they been able to break.
Yeah, it was Holden with a trailing leg. He had no choice really. It was clever play from Kateria, who's won the free kick. What is it, just a few yards from the paint of the 18-yard box to that right side of the D. This is very, very dangerous, and well, we had 2 minutes yet, 3 minutes, so it's almost a dangerous spell of time in TNS language.
Conceded early goals in both their European ties so far in the Champions League against BK Häcken, conceded 2 early on. Here tonight, conceded early against Swift Hesper, as they did last week as well. A dangerous position then. Free kick's taken straight against the wall, and then Stoltz balloons it out for a goal kick. It nearly went out for a throw, but it goes out for a goal kick. So an injury there for Assels, who had to try and shield himself and did very well inside the wall, just trying to get his breath back. Just had the wind knocked out of his sails.
He wore it well in a very special area for him, and he's still trying to catch his breath, if you catch my drift. But saved a shot on goal, that's for sure, so worthy of a few minutes of discomfort.
Yeah, leaning over uncomfortably and taking some deep breaths there, Ryan Astles. He goes into a gentle jog. So
he's got to jog it off, haven't you, I think?
He seems to be okay. It's 1-1 on the night, 2-2 on aggregate. An injury here for Redmond. He's clutching his shoulder and it just collided with the Hesper midfielder. We've already had 4 minutes of this second half, and not quite the drama that we had at the start of this game, but still a couple of incidents. Throw for Hesper, left-hand side of their defence.
Well, the crowd have just calmed down a little bit, because it was a frantic first half. At half-time, we had a party version of Here We Go, Here We Go. A rendition, cabaret version of I Will Survive to enjoy. So I think they've finally just taken their seats and drew breath.
Still lots of people. I'm not sure if they've opened up the stadium, but it feels like more and more people coming in here. Still lots flooding in and taking to their seats, those red, white and blue seats of the Luxembourg flag disappearing. Free kick again, offside there against Josh Daniels. The Swift team, just to recap, is Depere in goal. And then in defence they have Ekefo, who's played in the French fourth tier, and Martins over on the left. The two centre-halves, Skenderovic and Jamie, who played for Cluj in Romania, the 34-year-old. In midfield, Stolz, Morin, who played for Royal Union in the top flight in the Belgium League, Courtois, the Frenchman, and there was a change, of course, with the defender coming on, Depere for Sacras, and then the front two, Sinele and Alaoui as well, the front two. The referees Ismail Barbara from Malta. Ball's over in the far corner of this magnificent arena, and it's been given as a free kick, or no, it's going to be a throw to the New Saints, right over on the far side. Craig Harrison turns and looks up towards Mike Harris, and you were right. I did say that there was somebody shouting out TNS, and it is the owner, Mike Harris.
Hat's come off.
Hat's gone. Peaky Blinders hat's gone.
He might have another one up his sleeve. You never know. It's two hats we've seen today, so you could say he's on a hat trick.
He's making lots of noise, and you can hear him. You can hear him. Some people may not be surprised by that. A very colourful character who's done so much for the New Saints. A real pride of Oswestry in Shropshire, and the Welsh Premier, or the Cymru Premier. Here's Skenderovic on this right wing. It's a fierce cross in, headed downwards. Nobody there. They decide not to go to the man with the ball. Leo Smith was a bit torn of which man to go to, and didn't go to the man who eventually took the shot on, but he needs to readjust his radar because it's a very wayward effort, and another goal kick for TNS. 53 minutes gone. Nick Southall and Scott Harris for you here in the Stade de Luxembourg. Full exclusive coverage of the New Saints here in Europe. And now at the other end, the keeper once again is not scared to come outside his penalty area and heads the ball out of play. And a throw for the New Saints, who go back into their defence with Astles and now Marriott. The rangy defender, Astles, once again. Good ball up to Davies. Brobble's clearly offside. And a free kick. Eventually the whistle blown by the referee. There has to be a result tonight. If it stays level at 2-2 on aggregate, it will be extra time and potentially penalties.
It's amazing to think that we might still have yet left over an hour of football before penalty kicks, and that's exactly what will happen if the score stays the same.
Well, as the players will need to re-energise, it feels like we will as well, because that opening 25 minutes of this game was crazy, absolutely crazy, and the tempo hasn't stayed the same, but I would say we went from fifth gear probably down to third gear at the moment. There hasn't been much of a lull. The only thing I will say, Scott, I get your thoughts on this, the New Saints haven't quite had as much of the possession in the final third, have they?
No, and that's what will disappoint Craig Harrison. As I said at the start of the second half, it's how can you get your big players up top into those dangerous areas? You know, the likes of Josh Daniels, who has been very quiet in relation to the first leg. How can you get him in to those dangerous areas and cause problems? Because that's the real key, isn't it, Nick, in terms of what can TNS do to create problems for a tiring Swift Hesper side? Who's going to have that strength, that knockout blow with minutes to go? I think that's something we're going to look forward to wait and see.
Well, the winners of this tie will play the winners of the match between Struga of North Macedonia and Podgorica of Montenegro. And that is 1-1 on the night. So two very early goals inside the opening 11 minutes there in Montenegro. It's 2-1 that Struger lead, though, on aggregate. So TNS played FK Skendia, the North Macedonian champions, a couple of years ago in the capital Skopje. Struger also from North Macedonia. They lead 2-1, but plenty of goals in that tie already.
You'd be licking your lips, wouldn't you, knowing exactly who you're going to be playing next in the third qualifying round, that carrot being dangled over the stadium. And
well, I think the feeling is that would be, look, no tie in Europe's easy, but that would be a slightly easier tie than what they're up against here against this Hesper team that's had a lot, hundreds of thousands of euros thrown at it to build a squad capable of getting to the group stages.
Both weaker leagues as well, looking at coefficients. I know you can get confused quite easily looking at how coefficients are worked out, but both North Macedonia and Montenegro at the weaker end of the coefficient. I think that's fair to say. Luxembourg, their league system ranked 42nd. Wales ranked 50th out of 55 nations, and very much down to the unique way that Welsh football is structured.
2-2 on aggregate here. Lots of you tuning in tonight. A pleasure to have your company here in Luxembourg. A very special night of football potentially for the New Saints. If they can get over the line, it's very delicately poised still. Full coverage here on BBC Radio Shropshire, and you can also get us on your BBC Sounds app. Nick Southall and Scott Harris, your commentary team here. Full match reaction to come with Mary Kate Wilden on the verdict. We'll hear from Craig Harrison and from the players as well. Full reaction on the breakfast show tomorrow morning with Adam Green from 6 o'clock. And also on our social media channels on X, as it's known now, instead of Twitter, and Facebook as well. Be providing you a look behind the scenes here in Luxembourg. So that'll be something to look forward to tomorrow morning as Hesper attack. Stoltz is offside, made a diagonal run into the near post, but just went too far ahead of Ryan Astles.
He's been caught napping a few times tonight, Stoltz, and that surprises me. A player of that experience to mistime his run several times, and you expect him to do it once, but the manager is furious. Carlos Franguero, who had a time in England as a player about 17 years ago at Millwall and then at Walsall in 2006.
A double change I think is going to be made here by the New Saints. Craig Harrison tells Ben Clark and Jordan Williams to get ready. I don't think that means McManus will go off, but it could mean that Brobble goes into the centre. Stoltz tries a cheeky chip from an area where he was never going to get the ball over Connor Roberts, who catches it easily. So Brobble could go down the centre if McManus has to go off. But a double change on the way. It doesn't look like McManus is in any real discomfort, but hard to tell. But get some fresh legs on. And what do you take into consideration, Scott, with extra time?
You take into consideration that there's another hour potentially of football to be played. So ultimately, at this point, we're at half time. If you're playing the long game, ultimately Craig Harrison might be thinking, well, let's try and win this in the full 90, which would be the absolute dream ticket, wouldn't it, into the next round.
Well, McManus was a real injury doubt for this game, and he's already got a goal from the penalty spot, the equaliser on the night, after they conceded inside 2 minutes here through a terrible mix-up in defence. But he's got his goal, Dec McManus. And again, I'm just watching him here. There's an injury for Danny Davies, who's okay. He's back up on his feet. He's had a good game. McManus doesn't look to be moving with any discomfort at the moment. I'd be surprised if he went off unless it's planned due to the injury that he's got. But as I say, it doesn't look to be too bad. We're back underway. The ball is passed back to Connor Roberts. And the stadium behind him illuminated now in red and blue. Kicks it down the middle. McManus jumped up for the header with Jamie, who played for Cluj in Romania. He's got experience of playing in Europe. The yellow card for Danny Redmond, who catches the midfielder, Courtois. Free kick dead centre. 40 yards away from the TNS goal, though. An hour gone, Scott. How would you sum up this game at this stage?
Well, it's been frantic, it's been full of entertainment. A neutral would have enjoyed it enormously. Either set of supporters, maybe not so. Ruining missed chances and, well, biting your nails when it's at the wrong end.
Here's Skendrovic. He sweeps it out to the left. There's a runner. Heads it into the near post. Scores! Flag stays down. They've got a goal on the back post. And Swift Hesper have regained the lead. It did come off the post, but it's managed to go in. And ironically, it's the same post that the New Saints hit twice in that first half, inside the first 7 minutes of this game. But the post doesn't let them down on this occasion. It was a back post scramble, but Swift Hesper have managed to get themselves back in the lead here. There's a long way to go still in this tie, but it is Alaoui with the goal, the Moroccan international. And TNS now have more work to do. 2-1 down, and they are 3-2 down on aggregate.
Well, the difference there was that there was a red shirt going for the second ball, and it fell to him Alaoui at the most acute of angles, and he's put his laces through it into the side netting on that right side, and the goalkeeper beaten. Connor Roberts couldn't keep that one out. Slice of good fortune perhaps for the home side, Swift, who regain the lead in this tie, and well, they haven't been behind for the whole length of these two legs, and well, TNS now have to once again dig deep and dig themselves out of what could be a growing gaping hole as we express towards 90 minutes.
There's somebody yelling above us. I don't think it's aimed at us. I think it is aimed at Mike Harrislow, the New Saints owner, up in the executive part of the National Stadium here at the Stade de Luxembourg. Both sets of supporters going at it in a nice way. Competitive though, but you know, real work now for TNS. There is still a long way to go. It's got 27 minutes, but they've got to find a way of getting back into dangerous areas and probably get rid of that. It feels like they're just slightly gone into cautious mode.
Just a bit of turbulence really in terms of their confidence. Certainly at the back it was a slice of good fortune that's given Swift the lead. It was a good finish. He must have been very close to the byline, right on the edge of the 6-yard box on this right side. The ball came back across the face of goal, and he's tucked it into the side netting on that side. So
but here they come again. They smell another opportunity. Alaoui again. Roberts with a save, and what a block by Ryan Astles, who goes and collides with the post. A save by Roberts, but the ball still scrambled away, and there was Ryan Astles to deny the other striker a simple tap-in. That was very close to Swift getting a third goal and quite a significant lead here.
Well, Astles has kept TNS in the tie there. He wore one a few moments ago in a special area, and he's collided with the post with the same special area.
It's going to be a corner then for Swift Hesper, left-footed, looking for Stoltz, lurking, give him a shadows on the D, heads it back in, he wasn't marked, another opportunity, can they get goal side? No, they can't! Another goal! And it looks like it was Simon Martins who scored in the first tie, who gets a second goal here Saints out of Europe. 2 goals they've got to make up now, and Swift are playing very, very attacking football. And it's hard to see a way back for TNS.
Pulling away now, aren't they, in the space of 5 minutes? We mentioned that turbulence. Well, it's just got a little bit bigger because the gap is gaping now. They were level on aggregate, but they've conceded 2 goals. And it's a long way back now.
Martins, who scored in the first leg, scored here tonight. A very crowded penalty area. But it's Martins with the goal. Swift Hesper lead 3-1 against Banu Saints. 66 minutes gone. And it's 4-2 on aggregate.
It's a roll of the dice now for TNS. They're making substitutions. Looks as if Ben Clark is coming on for Ryan Brobble, who comes off. And I think Jordan Williams has come on as well, but I've missed the board, or I think the fourth official hasn't quite used the board. Oh, he's given up now.
It's a good finish. And, Swift are very good, aren't they, when they attack. They've even still got players on the bench that would comfortably get into this TNS team. Hundreds of thousands of euros, as we already mentioned, that have been spent to assemble this side, which they hope will get to the group stages like their rivals Dunderlands did a couple of years ago. They played AC Milan here, Olympiacos. They played Seville 1 year as well. And, their owner, their very wealthy owner, wants to achieve that here with Hesper, who attack once again. It feels like it's falling apart for Craig Harrison's team. They managed to see out the danger on that occasion, but it will be a throw on the right-hand side of their defence. Craig Harrison cuts a lonely figure on the edge of the technical area in front of us in this tie that has been so even and so tight up until the last 5 minutes, where Hesper have hit them with 2 goals in quick succession and really knocked the stuffing out of them.
2 real body blows in terms of the score line. Jordan Williams coming on for Daniels, who goes off. Ben Clark for Ryan Brobble. So what can they do? What impact can those players have? But TNS need to find a goal quickly to get back into it, because as we say, Hesper are pulling away now at some speed.
But it has been that kind of to and fro tie, that roller coaster ride, where you wouldn't put it past TNS, but they will need something special here. 22 minutes to go. Full match coverage with me, Nick Southall, and Scott Harris in Luxembourg for BBC Radio Shropshire. We've got Mary Kate Wilden back in the studio as well in Shropshire, and you can have your say after the game. You can text Mary Kate on 81333. Start your text with the word Shrop. TNS do have a free kick here. It's a long way out though, but it's a chance to get players around the edge of the penalty area. Taken by Clark. There's Rory Holden, chips it towards the goal and heading away. Penalty's given. The referee's given a penalty. This game is not over yet. Clark fouled and TNS have life in this game. Well, what a touch again from Rory Holden. The second penalty that he has won here this evening, and Deck McManus will have the honours once again to try and pull a goal back. The keeper's shown a yellow card, and this is a massive moment now for TNS in Europe.
Well, I missed the foul because all eyes were on Skendrovic, who, jumped at some speed to meet the ball with his head to clear it off the goal line. It looked as if it might have been looping in, and then all of a sudden the referee points to the spot. And we mentioned a few moments ago that TNS needed something, anything, to get back into this game. This is the opportunity.
Craig Harrison, their head coach, cannot watch. He's been run through the mill here. Boos around the arena. Here's Deck McManus. Steps away. Can he score for the second time tonight? The referee tells the players not to encroach. McManus has a long wait. The whistle's blown. Here is McManus. Scores! Deck McManus 3-2. It's 4-3 on aggregate.
It's game on, isn't it? 20 minutes to go. It's an absolute lifetime in this match. Anything is possible. And McManus is there. Can you believe it?
Well, Rory Holden, I tell you, what an impact he's had. He went to the near post, looked to flick the ball over his shoulder, and there was definite contact. The keeper's been booked, and now it's 3-2, 4-3 on aggregate. 19 minutes to go.
Well, this ties at absolutely everything, and it looks as if the manager Carlos Franguero has gone into the book as well for his comments to the referee as a result of that penalty. Not surprising, but maybe this could be an advantage for TNS. Swift just losing their heads a little bit. The management are down below there to our right side.
Well, Dec McManus now looking for a hat-trick in Europe, which would be a very special moment for him individually. Chance of TNS around us. We're a long way from home here for TNS supporters, but there is real life in this tie. 18 minutes to go. Exclusive coverage here on BBC Radio Shropshire. Scott Harris and Nick Southall here.
When in all that excitement, Danny Williams has come on.
Did he?
And Danny Redmond's gone off. So
I'm glad you spotted that.
Eagle-eyed. You have to be in this game.
When did that happen?
But just a few moments ago. But you take your eye off the ball for a moment and you miss something.
Redmond was coming back from injury. Williams has been injured, but he's on now in the heart of that midfield. There is going to be a change for the home team as well. And they'll wait for that change. It's going to be Ayongo to come on. That would be an attacking change for Swift Hesper, as the home fans try and get back behind their team. Chance of Hesper, ring out around the stadium. Chance of his right-hand side to Ekafo. Into Skenderovic. Good tackle by Clark. Oh, he's been penalised.
It's bizarre. There. Absolutely bizarre from the referee there.
What happened?
Well, from our angle, it looked like it should almost undoubtedly have gone the other way. Stolz is coming off.
Oh, this is big news. The German striker, Stolz, is going off. He is such a key player for them. But Ayongo is a very talented striker. A lot of clubs keeping an eye on this youngster as he comes on. Off goes Stolz, gets a kiss from his manager. And a free kick now on the right of centre, 30 yards away from the New Saints goal.
Well, Carlos Franguero's rolled his sleeves up and he's just had to re-tuck his shirt into his trousers. So that just goes to show how energetic he's been on the touchline. His shirt's come out.
Free kick's taken then. Chipped in, straight into the keeper's hands. Yeah, he looks like somebody who's had a hard day in the office. And you get back into your car and you want to head home. You just want to untuck your shirt, don't you? Be a bit more comfortable. And then remembered where he was.
Well, he's got a yellow card, so he's got to be careful, otherwise he might be joining us up here.
The TNS now have room on this left-hand side. Here's Marriott, two players waiting in the centre. With Williams, here's McManus. McManus goes for goal! Oh, just wide, it hung in the air. And he looks up into the night sky and knows that was close. Very, very close from Dec McManus.
He picked up the ball right on the left side edge of the D and, just flicked it with his foot up and over. It was looping, but just wide of that left-hand post.
That just seemed to take an age. Floating. It was a whisker wide.
Slow motion shot and, as you say, narrowly wide of that left post as the goalkeeper was scrambling to try and get something onto it. He wouldn't have got there if it was on target.
TNS need another goal to get back level though, and that could take it to extra time. And if it's level after that, it's penalties. They are 3-2 down with 15 minutes to go. On aggregate, that is 4-3 for the champions of Luxembourg. Don't go anywhere. 15 minutes of high drama here. And we did say it's just one of those games where we haven't been able to call it at all. When you think you've got it sussed on which way the game's going to go, there is always something thrown into the mix which catches us completely unaware.
Yeah, indeed, and it's times like this you miss the away goals rule because, TNS would certainly be the team with the advantage there, but sadly no more.
Well, a throw for Hesper on the far left-hand side, winning their domestic league last season. They just take the time here. Thrown to the feet of Alawi. Knocked back to Sinani. Oh, another free kick. He's so hot on those, the referee. He has given 2 penalties for the New Saints, so we probably can't complain too much about the referee from Malta, Ismail Barbara. The free kick here on the left-hand side. This is 25 yards away from goal. And again, the coaching staff and the head coach, Craig Harrison here, trying to get their message across. There are, I think, 5 TNS players in the wall. It's Rachid Alawi, who looks like he's going to just take this shot on. Connor Roberts bouncing on his line. Oh, it's a terrible shot. They do play rugby here. It is used for rugby internationals for Luxembourg, and that would have been a clear conversion.
Yeah, very clear. It certainly took out Rosed to that right-hand side.
Oh, there's a bit of pushing going on there. Skenderovic clashing with Jordan Williams. I think that should have been a free kick, and Harrison complains to the 4th official from UEFA. He doesn't want to hear any of it. And now Hesper attack down the left. TNS win back possession, then lose it again. The nerves really are setting in. Some tired legs out there as well. The ball's passed back to the keeper, who's on a yellow card, De Peer. Under pressure there from Jordan Williams, but dispatches it away to the left. And then a curling ball down the left-hand side, and it will be a throw for Hesper on the halfway line. So 12 minutes to go. They need another goal here, the New Saints, to get back onto level terms. Hesper aren't looking to slow this game down. They want to get the game back underway. They want to score again to extend their lead. Good header from Williams. No foul on McManus, says the referee. Here's the Frenchman, Couturier, to his right-hand side. Ekafo runs into Chris Marriott. Marriott does well, doesn't get the throw though.
Ekafo's been really quiet, I think, in this tie. He was quite busy at Parkour a week ago. Quite a handful, but hasn't had many moments getting forward. That was one of them, and well, ended in disappointment. But I mean,
we said about tired legs, just by the way, we've got a stoppage here because Jamie's gone down with cramp in both hamstrings. He's walking like an Iron Man. I know that feeling. I presume you've had cramp in your legs.
Yeah,
it is horrible.
It's not good, is it?
Horrible.
Very uncomfortable.
It is. We're back underway though. He's had some stretching there. Chislovic coming on for TNS very shortly. Swift have it on this right wing. Kicked out of play. Throw for TNS. There is just 11 minutes between them and an exit out of Europe for another year. So Rory Holden goes off. What a tie he's had, Rory Holden. Such an important player for the New Saints. He's done his job. Adrian Chislovic comes on, and so a fresh pair of legs up front. It means that Jordan Williams goes to the right, Chislovic on the left of McManus. They need to win the ball back from Swift. It's a good ball poked through towards Oyongo, but he spots a foul, the referee, Mr. Barbara. Free kick for the New Saints. Taken short out to Chris Marriott in that left back position. Chislovic gets his first touch. Passes it into the heart of the defence to Astles. Nice pass, 30-yard pass there to Clark. Then a square ball out to the right wing on the far side as Davies cuts in and tries to thread it through an impossible gap. And that was a chance which has been squandered. They may get another chance though, as Davis has it again. This time a better pass up to Pask, who finds himself in room. Here's McManus with 5 red shirts around him, but that opens up space on this left hand side. Williams, can he get it over? And a yellow card. We don't know which way he's given it here. I think it's a free kick to TNS, you know. It is. It's a yellow card for Ayongo, who's come on. And it will be a free kick. Again, this isn't shooting range, but it is an area where they can hurt Swift Hesper.
Well, TNS haven't had that many moments from set plays, so, and I think it is Ayongo who's gone into the book there.
Well, Swift conceded 2 penalties here against Slovan Bratislava, which saw them crash out of the Champions League qualifiers. Is that a bad omen for them? They've conceded 2 penalties here. Declan Manus with both. It is 4-3 on aggregate. But the New Saints behind overall in this tie. 8 minutes to go. Chris Marriott's over this one, and Clark as well. Some more instructions from Craig Harrison. Marriott plays it out wide to Chislovic. And now Chislovic crosses. Good ball. Back post. Just over the head of Pask. He was so well placed, you thought there. Wasn't far away. Davis does well. Shoots! Saved! Oh, missed by Astles! Astles nearly had a chance there with a goal beckoning, but it just came so quickly at him from the save from De Peer. And now at the other end, here comes Swift Hesper. Live coverage here on BBC Radio Shropshire. The team in red, the Luxembourg champions, with Skenderovic on this right-hand side to Ekafo, takes it to the corner flag. That's a big chance, Scott Harris. We'll come back to that in a second. Ekafo cuts back into the midfield. And now to Skenderovic again. Scott, just while we can, it's going to be a throw to the home team. Talk us through that.
Well, just couldn't get to the second ball. I think it was Pask, wasn't it? It was just overstretching. And if it had fallen to him, well, he wouldn't have been able to have taken 2 touches, but his first touch would have been right on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he probably would have fancied him to score. What a moment that was.
And again, that is just a reminder that they could still do it. They could still do it. Clark to McManus, 2 against 2 defenders. Here's Jordan Williams on the far side. Players looking to get it support. Williams shoots, and it's saved by the keeper. Comfortable save, really, at his near post.
Yeah, just a lot to do there, wasn't it? On that right side of the penalty area, spun and turned about 90 degrees as he struck the ball with his left foot, and it was tame and easy for the goalkeeper to collect. But that other chance a few moments ago, it was all Chislovic, wasn't it, on this left side with a super ball in.
Scott Harris there. Nick Southall here. And 6 minutes to go, plus stoppage time. It is 3-2 on the night. Given a free kick for TNS. And they're wondering why advantage wasn't played.
Well, yeah, I thought for a moment he was giving a free kick the other way. But the right decision in the end.
Could have played advantage there, though.
Well, yeah.
Well, a free kick then to be taken by Chris Marriott. They'll see this as a missed opportunity, TNS. But again, we must say, I think there's probably a big difference in the budgets between these 2 clubs. They've got a lot of money, the champions of Luxembourg, a lot of money. And TNS, well, they're doing very well. But I think a lot of clubs of TNS's size would struggle against Swift Hesper. And you look at all the tired legs. Skenderovic has gone down. He's suffering with cramp. Another Swift player on the far side. And those tired legs, TNS just hope that it may be one of those players who just slips up or can't get back when needed, and then TNS can capitalise. The physios come on.
TNS look fitter, in my view. They could find a goal that would force extra time. As you mentioned, it looks as if a number of Swift players are struggling out there. So if, now it's a big if with less than 5 minutes to go plus stoppages in this second leg. If the New Saints could find a goal in any old fashion, you would want them to push on in that period of extra time, but it's a big if.
Yeah,
the clock is ticking.
It is. The physio is on. Dec McManus with 2 goals, so could it be written in the stars for Dec McManus to get a hat-trick? There's a real doubt going into this game over his fitness.
He's looked sharp.
He's looked very good.
Yeah,
very good striker.
Considering he hasn't trained much over the last fortnight, he's looked very sharp indeed, and just what TNS needed at the right time.
Well, Skenderovic is going off. He went off in the home leg as well, injured. So he goes off.
He went off early as well in that first leg. I think, was it after half an hour?
So he is going to be replaced. We'll just wait to see who takes his place. It's going to be number 32, Marquez. And another change on the way as well. So Marquez coming on. They are down to 10 men at the moment. And also an off.
He's coming on.
An off is coming on.
Oh dear.
And we use that gag in the home leg about an off and enough.
And he's coming on.
It nearly is enough for Hesper. 3 minutes to go for stoppage time. Marquez and off are on. And off has gone Alawi. He scored a goal, has played his part. The time now really is against the New Saints, as Craig Harrison looks despondent, but just hoping that something magical will happen at the end here. Balls with Smith. There's a real air of desperation about them now as they enter the dying stages of this game at the Stade de Luxembourg. Here's Ben Clark, who's got himself into the channel. A nice little clip into the centre of defence. They're panicking here, Swift. They do manage to drill the ball up to the halfway line, though. Header forwards by Moren, who played for Royal Union in the top flight of the Belgium leagues. He wins a free kick as well on the edge of the centre circle. Have your say on the verdict with Mary Kate Wilden. 81333. Start your text with the word Shrop. And TNS fans, your hopes for the future, for the season ahead in the Cymru Premier. If it ends tonight here in Europe, where do they need to improve in order to take that next step? It's been a valiant attempt though, and they hardly had the look of the draw, getting picked against the Swedish champions, the hardest tie against BK Häcken in the Champions League qualifier, and then a team that many people, probably me included, you saw the Luxembourg champions, you thought minnows. It's been far from it. They are a very good team.
There's lots of money floating around at the moment in world football, but especially in the small country of Luxembourg. And their league is only getting stronger. Lots of capital being injected into that division, and they have aspirations to regularly make group stages of UEFA competitions.
Well, it could be a night of what might have been for TNS. They gifted Hesper a goal inside the opening 2 minutes. A stray back pass, falling straight to Stoltz, not a defender anywhere near him, and he just had the keeper to beat, and he finished with aplomb, and that looks like it's going to be the difference unless they can pull something out the hat now. Here's McManus on the halfway line. He does have room. He looks up straight away. It's a lovely through ball towards Williams. Keeper comes again. Referee just waited away. He looked closely at that, the referee. The keeper's writhing around following Williams going in for it. He was entitled to go for it, and the referee did give it a very good think.
I think he got it. I think the keeper got it spot on. I have to call it how I see it. 5 added minutes, by the way. We may have just missed that. So 5 minutes of additional time, but yet the goalkeeper, I mean, he's hurt himself in the process, but well, the precision required for that clearance was 100%.
So the physio comes on again. Hopefully he has stopped that stopwatch. He's down. It was a fair challenge by Williams, but the keeper, that was so close to getting it wrong. He's a bit of a maverick goalkeeper, De Pere. He's not frightened to come sprinting out. It's a great ball by McManus, and Williams did exactly the right thing, and he only took a split second of a wrong decision there from the goalkeeper, and it would have been another penalty, the third of the night for TNS, but it wasn't, and he did just enough, and he's picked up some war wounds in the process. So we've got quite a lengthy stoppage here at the National Stadium.
He was inches away, wasn't he? And I mean, he would have had an acute angle if he'd have burst through past the goalkeeper, but he would have had an empty net because no one was tracking back. And you'd have probably fancied him to score if he'd have got past the goalkeeper. But heroics from the keeper. He looks okay. I think he's clearly got his eye on the scoreboard and the clock. He knows there's not long to go.
Well, from that, the referee has decided to do a drop ball. Puts his thumb up to the goalkeeper. I'm all right, Gov. And Swift boot it back to the New Saints keeper, Conor Roberts. So by my reckoning, we should have another 2 minutes there. So it's probably 5 minutes from now, which would take it late into the night here. Ben Clark caught. No free kick from the referee, Mr. Barbara. But now they attack, and Davies get there. Those tired legs stretching. He keeps the ball in play. Cuts in well into the right channel. Davies crosses to the back post. It was a tired cross from him.
Sislovic just misread that. He thought the ball was going to just arrive on the left side of the 6-yard box, but it was loose and it went more towards the edge of the 18-yard box on that left side.
They're 3-2 down on the night, 4-3 on aggregate for New Saints. They are facing the exit door of Europe, but McManus is fouled. Another free kick, 35 yards out this time. Attacking the goal away to our left-hand side.
You've just got to float it in, haven't you, to anywhere around the edge of the penalty area, edge of the penalty spot. There's a queue of players right on the edge of the penalty area.
Stretched along the box. Here's Chris Marriott. Deep breath from him. Oh, they played the offside trap, and TNS were completely caught there. Keeper picks it up. He'll be told by the ref. Oh, another player's gone down. Here we go. Where's the sniper in the crowd? He's just gone down. Another one with cramp. Tell you what, they'll be sacking the fitness coach, wouldn't they? Because, blimey, none of the TNS players have gone down. You can't tell me this isn't a bit of gamesmanship coming on and time wasting.
I mean, you'd worry if they were in open water with the amount of cramp there. Get the lifeboat, because almost everyone has gone down with cramp at some point.
He's got to pull out a yellow card here just to stamp down on it, hasn't he? Now what's he going to give here? We don't know what's happening. Is it a throw for Hesper? No, he's arguing now with the Hesper defender. The Hesper defender's telling the referee to come towards him. The referee goes and grabs the ball from him, takes it towards the goalkeeper, and he's going to drop the ball for the goalkeeper to launch it forwards. He drops it at his feet and he picks it up instead. What are the odds of another player going down with cramp here, Scott?
Favourable, I'd say.
Well, just 2 minutes to go. They are 1 goal behind, really, overall in this tie. 4-3 down on aggregate for New Saints. BBC Radio Shropshire, full match reaction to come here with the head coach Craig Harrison. Have your say with Mary Kate Wielden back in the studio on 81333. Start your text with the word Shrop. Leo Smith sails it over the top. The fresh legs of Williams. The keeper comes out and heads it out. Now they've got to really take this throw quickly. Here is Williams. The keeper gets back on his line. Williams waits for the cavalry to arrive, and it comes in the 6'5" defender of Ryan Astles. Pask is in there as well, and this is now where they need to really fling the ball into the 6-yard box. In it comes. Astles jumps. The referee's already spotted a push, and the free kick's being given.
I think it was Pask, wasn't it? The guilty party member there. Not quite sure how he was guilty. I didn't see any infringement on the goalkeeper. Well, this will play into the hands, won't it, of Swift, who...
They're wasting so much time here. I mean, the referee surely's got to give him a yellow card. See how long it takes him to take this. Kicks it left-footed. By my reckoning, we are nearly out of time. Just seconds to go for the New Saints in Europe. Looks like the referee gestured 1 more minute, so he may have added a bit on for time wasting. No, they're out. They're out of Europe. Craig Harrison turns in frustration, head bowed, and the TNS players, Leo Smith, down on the floor, and also on the far side, Ben Clark as well. And it's one of those nights where it could have been very different. We've seen 5 goals on the night here, but they've lost 4-3 on aggregate, and out of Europe they go. What a valiant attempt by Craig Harrison's team. But alas, it wasn't enough. It has been such an exciting and dramatic night here at the Stade de Luxembourg. But it's the home team who go through.
Can't fault the commitment of TNS. Spirited fight back, coming from behind. After every goal they conceded, both sides could have scored more across the 2 legs. TNS guilty of sloppy mistakes. They didn't get out the traps fast at all in either of the legs, and well, it's cost them yet again.
But it has, and Mary Kay, real disappointment. The TNS players are trudging off. They can't quite believe it. Chris Marriott wipes away the sweat from his brow. There have been so many fantastic individual performances here this evening. Ryan Astles did ever so well. Rory Holden, probably our man of the match tonight. Jordan Williams coming on and making an impact too. We'll be getting reaction from Craig Harrison, but again, so close for the New Saints. But sadly, they are out. They've lost 4-3 on aggregate.
So close for the New Saints in Europe, but they are now out of the UEFA Conference League and out of Europe for the season. That was their last chance to progress, and they are out after losing 3-2 this evening to Swift Hesper. We'll be getting reaction from Nick Southall and Scott Harris next.
Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary Kate Wielden.
Well, TNS's European journey has come to an end again for another season. Nick Southall still out there in Luxembourg. Nick, absolutely heartbreaking for TNS.
It really is, Mary Kate. You know, they've been here before. They've been very close before. They got to the playoffs of the Europa League and lost to CSKA Sofia in a tie which really they should have won and should have reached the group stages several years ago, but didn't do so. They were knocked out in extra time against the Hungarian champions, the Dayton. And here tonight, this is probably one of the better teams that we've seen them play in recent years, because I think this Swift Hesper team are well capable of getting to the playoffs of this competition. I think they'll beat whoever they play in the next round, whether it's Struga or Podgorica. and then it's just one game away from the group stages. So it would not surprise me, because Dunderland, one of their rivals in Luxembourg, were able to do that. And I think that where they'll be really obviously enjoying tonight as their players go and celebrate with the home supporters, TNS will see this as a chance which has really, it hasn't been stolen away from them, because Hesper are a good team, but it's such an opportunity which they've let go. And it was all from that opening goal after just 1 minute and 50 seconds here, when it was an unbelievably bad back pass which gifted them the opening goal for Stolz, the German striker, and from there on in, TNS really upped their game, but the damage was done very early on.
They started well in the game as well, and just the 2 goals in 4 minutes as well, in the 62nd and 66th minute must have felt like sucker punches after they equalised as well.
Yeah, let's just quickly, for those who joined us during the game, just remind people of how it ended tonight. So the first goal coming from Stolz for Hesper after just 1 minute and 50 seconds. Then the New Saints hitting the woodwork twice after 3 minutes and 7 minutes. And identical efforts really, both on the right hand side, both strikes hitting the inside of the post, both rolling along the line, not over it, and nobody there to tap in. But they did get the equaliser midway through that first half. Rory Holden trips over inside the box. Nick McManus, an injury down before tonight's game, scoring really well, smacking it down the middle. Then into the second half, well, they were hit with 2 goals in quick succession around the hour mark. Alawi scoring, and also Martins, who scored his second goal of the tie overall. We thought that was probably it with 25 minutes to go, but no, the New Saints bounced back once again. Holden once again winning his second penalty of the night. McManus scoring his second goal from the penalty spot with 20 minutes to go to make it 3-2. And we thought that it was going to be one of those nights where it really was in the stars for TNS to come back into it and take it to extra time. But in the end, it wasn't to be. They did have other chances. There was a penalty nearly given at the end, with Williams colliding with the goalkeeper, but the keeper got there just in time. And with just so much going on, I think we'd be here all night if we went through all the chances. But yeah, but they'll go back. They should go back with their heads held high. But I'm sure they'll be really feeling this one.
But we can hear the music playing loudly, and obviously celebration for Swift Hesper. But what this seems like for the TNS fans, I know you're near Mike Harris, the chairman, and just seeing the players walk off the pitch. Do they look upset by this result, as they were so close?
Yeah, really, really dejected, because it feels every year like the New Saints are not far away from of emulating the likes of Dundalk from Ireland. I always think that they are a similar sized club. Dundalk have done it in the past, of getting to the group stages. Now they need a favourable time. They haven't had that in Europe this summer. Getting the Swedish Champions League, knocked out, played well against them, played well against this Luxembourg team that have had hundreds of thousands of euros piled into it for the sole purpose of getting into the group stages. So again, unlucky to have got this team, but took them so close. And again, but Scott Harris, they've been the nearly men on a number of occasions in the last decade or so. But they are knocking on the door, aren't they? But just aren't able to quite get over the line.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to sum it up, really. There will be mixed emotions in that dressing room. They will know that it was there, that they were there for the taking. They've had the opportunities, they've created and scored goals. Both sides could have scored more. Both sides guilty of sloppy mistakes that ultimately has cost TNS, especially the start to this second leg. Craig Harrison will certainly have lots to say about that. But ultimately, you look at it at face value, and TNS have wasted this opportunity to progress in Europe. That's as harsh as I'll be. I want to credit their ability on getting themselves back into the tie. It could have easily have slipped away. Certainly on the hour mark of this second leg, when Swift scored 2 very quick, well taken goals, and they were in it right up until the death. And I think that's a credit to them. They can learn as a group of players from this performance, this tie over the last fortnight. They can learn from their European adventure. But sadly, once again, it comes to an end prematurely for TNS, who have those aspirations of reaching group stages. You mention the number of opportunities that they've had over the last 23 years to be knocking on the door. They should be knocking on the door regularly. And given the way there is huge amounts of money floating around, certainly in Central Europe, the Balkans, the Baltic states as well, they are looking to get their league champions into group stages of UEFA competitions. And the Welsh FA should be looking at supporting all of the Cymru Premier clubs to have good runs in Europe. We've asked and answered several questions about that over the last few years, and I think now is the moment, isn't it, for Wales to have that fully professional Cymru Premier to kick things on, because Wales as a nation, as we've seen at international competitions, they've got a hunger for football, and I think they would want to see someone like the New Saints going forward into Europe, having some of these big names on regular occasions. But tonight they've fallen just short, but they were in it right until the very end, Mary Kate, and that has to be a credit to them. But I'm sure the long bus ride home and the ferry, it's going to be very painful for the whole squad, because they will be reliving the 90 minutes this evening, and they will think, well, what could have been?
A gutting night for TNS in Europe as their European adventure comes to an end for another season, as they've been knocked out of the UEFA Conference League by Swift Hesper. They lost 3-2 on the night with goals from Stoltz, Aliou and Martins. 2 goals, 2 penalties from Declan McManus, not enough for them tonight, and they've been knocked out of the competition 4-3 on aggregate. Get in touch and let us know your thoughts. Drop us a text on 81333. Start your message with the word Shrop. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with Scott that more needs to be done to help TNS in Europe? I mean, their league season starts this weekend, so not a long time to recover at all. We're going to have more reaction, of course, coming up tonight from the manager, Craig Harrison, and we'll speak to your commentary team again. So don't go anywhere, as we'll get the thoughts of Craig Harrison next. We're bringing you the reaction tonight to TNS's defeat to Swift Hesper, and now we can hear from their manager, Craig Harrison.
Craig, does it feel a bit like deja vu?
No, not really. No, it's just that feeling of getting beat. It's not a nice feeling, and I think in just more so the manner, not so much, obviously every defeat's not nice when no one wants to get beaten, no one goes out to get beat on purpose or make mistakes, etc. But just the manner of the 3 goals we've given away is really, really poor, and it's we're coming away in a European competition and giving goals away like that, then it's really disappointing, and you do well to win any game. If you, not only a European game, but any game you do well to win if you give goals like that away.
All that prep, and then it's a mistake in the opening couple of minutes, and what's going through your head?
I don't know. It's one of them things that it's you try to control the controllables, and then it's out of my control, because it's just a strange decision. No one wants to make that mistake on purpose. No one wants to go out intentionally and do that, but early part of the game, because after that we've done so well. We really reacted really well, and I've got to give hats off and credit to the players, because quite easily then you go under, and you get your heads down. But no, we'll come back and we had a really strong 20-25 minutes where we should have scored 2 goals. We scored a penalty, and then we should have scored 2 more. And that's the difference about punishing and in the top level of football, in the fine margins, etc., then we score the next goal to make it 2-1, which we should have, and it's puts a different complexity on the game completely. But then in the second half, I can't remember them really threatening apart from the two set plays, and they happen so quick after each other, and it's just really poor.
But again, as you say, some really good performances as well. That recovery, yeah. I mean, you could have been 3-1 up at half time.
Yeah, and I think it should have been
BBC
at least 2-1 up.
Shropshire.
We've got to take one of them chances. If you're going to go through tonight, we've got to take one of them chances, and we can't give 3 goals away like that. So that's the fine margins in the either side of the victory line or the defeat line, and unfortunately we've been on the side of the defeat line tonight, and it hurts. It's the pit in my stomach. I've got a really horrible feeling, not at the pit in my stomach, and but there's certainly just as much as that, there's a bit of a tinge of disappointment as well.
Swift have had millions of euros spent on their budget, and people going into this tie, not yourselves, but people watching from afar may have thought these are minnows of Europe. They are no such thing, are they? I mean, they are well equipped to go further.
Yeah, no, that will only time will tell with that. I thought they were good offensively. I thought they had some very good players going forward, but I always thought we had the opportunity and we had the means to hurt them at the other end, which we did. So you're talking over a 2-legged tie, we've scored 3 goals, and again, there lies I don't really probably need to say anything more than that. We've conceded 4. To be honest, the one at home was a really sloppy goal. It took a deflection and then fell to one of them, and we've been switched off another set play. So we've been done tonight with a really bizarre first goal tonight in 3 other set plays over the 2 legs. So it's something certainly we need to go away and have a serious look at, and from myself and the staff regarding the set plays.
That's the new Saints manager, Craig Harrison, speaking to BBC Radio Shropshire's Nick Southall, reacting to being knocked out of European football for the season as they lost 3-2 to Luxembourg side Swift Hesper and 4-3 on aggregate over the both legs in the UEFA Conference League. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. You can listen back to that interview anytime on BBC Sounds. But have a lovely evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Now a mistake by the new Saints and a golden chance for Stoltz. What were they doing there? And they've scored. A terrible, terrible pass over on the left-hand side of midfield. And they've just passed it straight to Stoltz. And Stoltz nutmegs the keeper, Connor Roberts. And after just 1 minute and 50 seconds, Swift Hesper have scored. And what a gift that is from the new Saints. A terrible, terrible start here in Luxembourg. Boos from the home supporters as he stands and now runs up and scores straight down the middle. Jack McManus brings the new Saints level in this game. It's Swift Hesper 1, the new Saints 1, and that makes it 2-2 on aggregate midway through the first half here on BBC Radio Shropshire. Here's Skenderovic. Sweeps it out to the left. There's a runner. Heads it into the near post. Scored. Flag. Stays down. They've got a goal on the back post. And Swift Hesper have regained the lead. Another opportunity. Can they get goal side? No, they can't. Another goal. And it looks like it was Simon Martins who scored in the first tie, who gets a second goal here. And that is the goal that maybe will send the new Saints out of Europe. McManus has a long wait. The whistle's blown. Here is McManus. Scores! Dick McManus gets a goal back. 3-2. It's 4-3 on aggregate. They're out. They're out of Europe. Craig Harrison turns in frustration. Head bowed. It lost 4-3 on aggregate, and out of Europe they go.